What's up, y'all? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Come on in. What up, what up? What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? Happy Sunday. How are you, y'all? Come on in. What's up? What's up? Happy Sunday, good people. Happy Father's Day. How are y'all? Turn this music down because I don't want no excuses. How are you guys doing? Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Sunday. I hope everyone has had a blessed weekend, productive weekend, a chill weekend. And all of you gentlemen that are fathers today, I hope you guys had a wonderful Father's Day with family and friends. If you're not a father, if you're a father-like figure, happy Father's Day to you. Grandfathers, fathers, role models, happy Father's Day, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Father's Day. I hope everyone is doing well, doing well, doing well. The link is now pinned. We're going to talk about some things, you know what I mean? Let me salute the chat right quick, ladies and gentlemen. Again, thank you. You're rocking with your boy, SBK. Thank you for joining me on this Sunday afternoon. I am very, very appreciative of everybody coming and rocking with me. I wasn't going to do a live today, but then I got to thinking, I'm like, man, let's do a live for the fathers. You know what I mean? I especially want if you're a man, if you're a father, you know what I mean? Ladies can come up too, you know what I mean? You can, ladies come up and, you can talk and we can converse, but this month, gentlemen, this is your month. This is your month. You know what I'm saying? So ladies, gentlemen, the link is pinned, but let me salute the chat. We got Thrive and Glow with Joe. Hey, by the way, you heard what she said. You heard what she said. Get my light in here. You heard what she said. Like, share, and subscribe. If you have not subscribed to your boy, if you have not liked the like button, clicked on the like button. If you haven't shared, what you waiting on? It's free 99. Allah to my sister. It's just ETV. So shout out to the bestie. Shout out to the bestie. And my boy, he's already preaching. My little bro Lionel Suggs is in the building. Salute, salute. How you doing, Susanna? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. She says, happy Father's Day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for coming through. Thank you. There is Queen the Queen. Hey, love. How you doing? Salute to you. Salute, salute, salute. Who else we got up in here? We got the lovely Cinnabon. How you doing, love? Thank you, thank you, thank you. She says, happy Father's Day to all the wonderful fathers. Thank you for coming through. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We got the lovely Scorpio Mama. Hey, love. How you doing, sweetheart? Thank you for coming through. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And she became a new member. I am appreciative. Thank you so much for becoming a new member. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am grateful. Very much grateful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Am I missing anybody? My little bro, 2 Cent Gorilla from the 2 Cent You Calls It podcast. He said people gonna lie on that phone. You know they are, bro. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into all of that. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. All right. We got our attorney, one of my day ones, Kevin Corponin, in the building. Salute, bro. We got the lovely 80s Gisela. Hey, Giz, how you doing, love? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? See if I am missing anybody up in here. Joe's been a member for 5 months. Thank you, Joe. I couldn't make it without you. Thank you. Oh, I said what I said up in the building. Hey, love, how you doing? She says, Happy Father's Day, guys. Thank you. We got the Bay Area baby in the house. DR, how you doing, love? How you doing? We in here pretty thick today, ladies and gents. Okay, I think I got everybody. I hope I didn't miss anybody. If I missed you, charge it to my head, not to my heart. You know what I'm saying? Got my bro, Angelo. Salute to my brother. Happy Father's Day to you, bro. A wonderful father right there. That is right there to my bro, Angelo. Salute to you. One love to you, bro. One love to you. All right. So, like I said, happy Father's Day to all of the great fathers out there, man. All the father figures, all of the ones that came before us. I want to send a special shout out to my pops, who's been gone now for a long time now. My pops, Jimmy, he is one of the reasons why I push myself hard. He's one of the reasons why I don't take no ish off anybody. You know what I mean? He's one of the ones that has who taught me how to be a man. You know what I'm saying? And if it was not for my father, you know, I would not, as far as the streets, as far as dealing with people, as far as being a man, I would not be where I am today without my father. And my father was very, very respected here where I am. You know what I mean? You want to talk about a dude that was about it. A dude that was, you know, didn't take no ish off nobody. You know what I mean? Taught me and my brother not to take any stuff off anybody, man. He taught us how to be a man, and he was a man's man. I will say that. And I want to tell him to rest in power. He's looking down on me. I know he's proud of me, and I know he's proud of my brother. And every day, I think about him. I can't thank him for being here for us, for my brother and I, and I just want to take the opportunity to honor him with this live today, because, dude, you know, look, us fathers, we're not perfect. You know what I'm saying? We're not perfect. You know, nobody's perfect, but we learn what to do, and we learn not what not to do. I learned from my father what to do. I learned from him what not to do. You know what I mean? And I believe that if he was to be walking around, I know he's looking down on me. He is very, very much proud of his sons. I'm saying that in plural, and I'm sure, you know, if you're an active father in your children's life, you know what I'm saying, you're going to reap the benefits of your children doing what's right. Not all of them are going to go the right way. They're going to choose their own path, but, you know, you did your part. You know what I'm saying? And this is your day, fellas. This is your day. You know what I'm saying? And so salute to all of the fathers out there, man, that are stand-up men and are taking care of their kids. You know what I mean? Take care of their kids, take care of their wives, take care of their women, most of all, but you're being productive fathers. You know what I'm saying? You're not just talking the talk, but you're walking the walk. So I salute you guys. And black fathers, you know what I'm saying? Let's change the narrative. You know what I'm saying? Let's change the narrative, and let's Um, let's teach our kids and our children, how it should be. You know what I'm saying? So um, let's do that. I want to send I want to extend another special shout out to my daughter. Um, I think the greatest gift that I've ever had in this world is to have, to see my daughter born. You know what I mean? To see her come into this world, the first thing she saw was me. And we are like freaking frack right now. You know what I mean? Um, I just got a, uh, I just got a card in the mail from her, and I want to say shout out to Thrive and Glow with Joe. But I, I got a card in the mail, and my daughter sent me a heartfelt card, and told me she loved me. You know, thankful for everything she's done, and it hasn't been easy for me as a single parent. You know what I mean? Uh, my brother posted on social media a picture of myself and her and him, and she was 9 years old. She was 9 years old, and she was 9 years old when her mom passed away. You know what I'm saying? Um, so it hasn't been really, and I'm this is a monologue, ladies and gentlemen. I'm letting you know, I'm kind of opening up my heart, and I'm showing you guys, you know what I'm saying? It's easy to see, a face and someone talking and so forth and so on. But I'm opening up my heart before we start getting into fathers and talking and having dialogue. I'm opening up my heart. I'm letting you guys see uh, what's going on there. You know what I'm saying? And so, but she was 9 years old. Whenever I took her on full time as a full time dad with no help. You know what I mean? People that want to know me, they'll talk to people close to me, like Thrive and Glow with Joe, my sisters, and they'll say, "Did he really raise his daughter by himself? Does he does have a girlfriend, right? Does he has a significant other? Does he have? I don't have none of that. You know what I mean? Never have. I haven't had any help. The thing about that is that whenever tragedy hits your life, and I'm using the term that my little bro Lionel has used, when God trolls you. God has trolled me in my life. You know what I'm saying? He uses that word troll, and I like that. When God trolls you, it's up to you whether or not how you're going to take it. You know what I'm saying? And so she was 9 years old whenever I became a full-time father, and I didn't ask for a handout. I didn't ask for anybody to help me raise my daughter. Um, I pick her up from school. I take her to school. I've taken her to doctor's visits. Um, but I couldn't do it alone. You know what I mean? I couldn't do it alone without um, women along the way. I keep saying Thrive and Glow with Joe. That is my best friend, ladies and gentlemen. That's not my girlfriend. Never has. You know what I mean? She's family. You know what I'm saying? Her and my sister are like, my blood sister. Her and my sister are like sisters. You know what I mean? Her dad and her mom are like my dad and mom. You know what I mean? Her family, her sister comes in here, Sandra. She's just like my sister. She's a part of my family. So if it wasn't for folks like Thrive and Glow with Joe, my two sisters, Rochelle and Vivian, my aunt, uh, my aunt Pam, those ladies in our lives, has helped us to make it. Basically, I couldn't have made it without them. So, but the greatest joy of being a father is seeing your daughter just being independent. You know what I'm saying? And when I say independent, I mean, doing things on her own without me asking. You know what I mean? Being a lady. You know what I'm saying? And so, she is. When I say independent, I mean when she's in front of adults, it's yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. I've never had any issues out of her. You know what I'm saying? Does she have her issues, whatever? Sometimes dealing with grief, of course. We all do. You know what I mean? Um, it's not hard. It's very hard for some of us who, when this time of year, when it's Mother's Day or Father's Day, we've lost our mothers, we've lost our fathers, of course. But imagine a 9-year-old, you know what I mean, who is now turned 17. When it comes to these times of years, when it's Mother's Day, Christmas, you don't have your mom. You know what I mean? So, but we're doing well. And I'm not telling these stories, ladies and gentlemen, for sympathy or anything like that. I believe YouTube and social media, in a lot of cases, in my aspect, you should be transparent. I have nothing to hide whatsoever. What you see is what you get. You know what I mean? You guys, if you follow me on IG, if you follow me on YouTube, on my stories, I've posted my daughter before. I have nothing to hide about my daughter. She makes A's and B's in school. I mentioned on our show Tap In this past Friday, when she was little, they diagnosed her with a lot of different ailments. You know what I'm saying? ADHD, all sorts of stuff. We didn't have any type of medication. We didn't put her on any type of medication or anything like that. You know what I mean? So just straight discipline and patience. You know what I mean? And as a father, we have to do that. And I salute. And look, all jokes aside, I want to say this here. All of you mothers out there, all of you mothers, I salute you. I do. This is the reason why I salute all you mothers. And I've said this on other shows, and I'm gonna say this again. All of you mothers, if you're active mothers in your children's life, think about it. You guys, you take the kids, y'all are initially, you guys make sure they go to school. Make sure they are picked up from school. You make sure they're at their doctor's appointments. You set up the doctor's appointments, right? When they're sick, you stay home with them, right? You help them with their homework. You discipline them a lot more so than the father, because the father is out there, 9 times out of 10, he's the breadwinner. Now, these days of time, a lot of our ladies, you guys have to work, right? But initially, you guys who are active mothers, I know what it's like. You know what I'm saying? And so because of that, I salute you, because I haven't taken the role of a mother, but I've basically the responsibilities of, I have all that responsibility. You know what I'm saying? And so I salute you mothers. I kid around, and we're going to kid around tonight, you know what I mean, about you guys. But I'm just, like I said, once again, I'm opening up my heart right now. I'm opening up my feelings and emotions right now. And I'm letting you guys know, you know what I'm saying, as a single father, that what I go through on a daily basis. And it's not, like I said, again, I'm not looking for any type of pat on the back or anything like that. But I appreciate good mothers, and I appreciate good fathers. But of course, today if you're a father or a father-like figure, this is your day. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, I want to take the time to thank all those ladies who have been in my life that have helped me with my little one, and who have been there. You know what I mean? Whether it's said encouraging words to me or said encouraging words to my daughter, have helped along the way. You know what I mean? Thank you. And all you fathers that, in my situation, I'm not saying that I'm the only situation, but my situation is very rare. We're out there. Single fathers are out there. We're out there. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times, when tragedy hits or when hard times hits, the first thing to go is the father. And the father puts every responsibility on the mom. You know what I'm saying? A lot of our fathers, they get incarcerated for a lengthy amount of time, and the streets raise our kids. But I'm just thankful that, man, that my daughter has me and I have her, and so that's that. You know what I mean? So enough of my spiel, man. Again, happy Father's Day to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So did I miss anybody in chat? Selena, hey love, how you doing? 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 Did I miss anybody else? I thought I saw some other people in the chat that I missed. If I did, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was sitting there preaching and everything. But anyways, but yeah, there's a poll that we put in the chat, in the chat, and you guys answer the poll. All right. The question was, do fathers get enough appreciation on Father's Day compared to mothers? Do fathers get enough appreciation? Do they? What say you? And the poll is still going. We're gonna end it. We're gonna end it in a few minutes. But do fathers get enough recognition? You know what I'm saying? Do they? Selena says no. And we got somebody in the chat. I mean, at my door. And Joe, you there, sweetheart? Joe? There you go. There you go. What's up with you? Thrive and Glow with Joe Bestie, aka Thrive and aka Joe, and what's up with you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you real good now.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Hey, Sirius S just came in the building.
Who that?
Sirius.
Oh, they're serious. Hey, love. How you doing? Hey, the link is now pinned. You guys can come up and join me. We're just shooting the breeze, but y'all can answer the poll. Some of y'all have answered in the chat, but y'all can tell me your reason. I'm gonna give you my answer in a few minutes. But what you got on the thing? What you got on everything, Joe? What you got to say on everything?
Well, real quick, I want you to read your shirt for them. They can't read the definition of a black father. I want them to know the definition.
I can't read it. Y'all can. Hold on. I can't read it. Seriously. Hold on. I can't. You'll put it up. It says a black father, and it's got,
Hold on, I'll do it.
Okay, read it. Okay.
Okay, hold on. Black father, and it's a definition of a black father, and it's a noun according to his. I'm reading the shirt, y'all. So first definition, a man who has stepped up to the challenge of raising his children to be kings and queens. Someone who has risen above the negative stereotypes about black fathers and is a king in his own right. Second definition, a provider, a protector, a lover, and a strong foundation. Royalty is in his lineage. Gertrude, welcome in.
Hey, Gertrude. Hey, love. How you doing? Thank you. Hey, Lisa.
I think Urban too.
Huh?
Urban?
Huh? Is Urban in here?
I saw them saluting him, so I'm assuming.
I didn't see him in here. Urban, come on up here. If you're here. But anyways, what you got up on everything, Joe? What you think about everything?
First, I want to go ahead and say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. If you're a dog father, if you're a father figure, if you're a father to nephews, a father, father figure of any sort, I want to say Happy Father's Day to all of you. Gertrude, welcome in. I was having a little conversation while I was responding to Lionel. And I'm not trying to respond in an ugly way at all to Lionel, because Lionel and I have come to, I think, an understanding. He knows he knows a little bit more of a raw side of me. I let him see a little bit of a raw side of me that I don't let many people see. But I couldn't help it. So Lionel, has actually, I think he understands me a little better. So
Yeah.
I was just trying to explain to him, this is my take on things. A lot of you guys always, and I'm talking about men, you feel that you're not celebrated as much as women, or you feel that you're not, Father's Day is not as celebrated as much as a Mother's Day, or vice versa. But personally, and I'm going to mention what I answered on the poll. Is that the question you wanted me to send you?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. Did you read the poll question?
I'll read it again. Okay. If you guys have not voted, it says, do fathers get enough appreciation on Father's Day compared to mothers?
And the options.
The answers are nope, not even close, somewhat, yes, things are changing, depends on the household. So
my answer was depends on the household. And the reason is because, like I was trying to explain to Lionel, if you're a single dad, so that means your baby mama, you shouldn't expect your baby mama to celebrate you. And if your kids are young, they're not going to celebrate you unless the mother, if you're not together, if you're not in a family unit, in my opinion, this is my opinion. If you're not in a family unit, then, and your kids are young, right? They don't drive, they don't support themselves, they don't have their own money, and they're with baby mama, you can't expect to be celebrated. Especially Father's Day is on the summertime. So Mother's Day is at the end of the school year, so they make something at school for their moms and they bring it home. I don't know if it was designed this way, but they can't make something at school for their dads, right? Because they're already out of school and it's summertime. So just think about it. So if they're young, they're not going to celebrate their dad if baby mama doesn't celebrate their dad, right? It just depends. So it depends on the household, in my opinion. And if you have a good relationship, so that's all that it depends. It depends on your relationship with the baby mama, or like my dad, he had a whole family and we celebrated him all the time. And I'm just gonna mention, anytime I have my friends, I celebrate my friends. I celebrate, my friends who are dads and who are father figures to my son. I celebrate and I give thanks and I appreciate, So that's why I say it depends on the household. It depends on that person. If you choose 304s all the time, they're not going to celebrate you unless you pay them. Let's put it, just make it, Lionel, you can't expect to be celebrated for the father figure you have been. You need to choose better. Okay, that's what my take is. You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry. Well, what my answer is going to be. Nope, not even close.
No, not even close about what?
We're not celebrated as much as the mothers.
Right, I know that, but you got to choose better, and it depends on the household.
I don't think it has anything to do with choosing better. Let me explain. It has nothing to do with choosing better. Let me explain. And you basically proved my point.
I didn't say it was. I got you.
Y'all see how she's interrupting me, y'all? Y'all see? Because she knows I'm going to get ready to cook. Check this out, Lionel, and I'll tag you. The reason why it doesn't even come close, and that fathers are not going to be celebrated like the mothers. Number one, did y'all hear what she said? She just said that, the fathers are celebrated in the summertime and the mothers are celebrated during the school year. So that gives children to automatically focus in on the moms, make little trinkets and little, notes and so forth for the moms. And you know what? During the summertime, you're grilling, you're doing all this. And 9 times out of 10, I worked today on Father's Day, ladies and gentlemen. I did. I worked today on Father's Day. 9 times out of 10, the fathers are doing all the cooking. And I talked to them. Well, we laughed about it, you know what I'm saying? But the fathers were out grilling. The fathers were out getting the barbecue and getting it ready and so forth and so on. You know what I'm saying? So what does that say? That just says that, and look, that's the way this society is. You know what I'm saying? My mom used to always say, never disrespect Mother Nature. You know what I mean? She used to say that to my brother and I whenever we were rowdy or disrespectful, and never disrespect Mother Nature. In other words, women are the reason why we're here. So that's what she was trying to say. So it's going to be celebrated. You know what I mean? It's going to be celebrated more so. Fathers are meant to do what they're supposed to do, bring home the bacon, so to speak, and make sure the bills are paid, make sure your woman is taken care of. Every now and then, the kids are, you discipline the kids, whatever, but you got to make sure the kids are fed and taken care of. That's your job, bro. You know what I'm saying? So when you talk about mental health, this month is mental health month, right? For the men. 30, 40, 50 years ago, we didn't have this conversation. We didn't have this conversation. It is what it is. So, in my opinion, because of the things that I just brought out, nobody, and I'm just being honest. Now, I won't. This is healthy dialogue, ladies and gentlemen. The link is pinned, and I know no bestie is going to push back on me, but nobody gives a damn about the man. You know what I mean? Nobody gives a damn about what you go through. Ain't no sense in you. Ain't no sense in the man complaining because ain't nobody gonna listen. But I am very much grateful that these types of conversations are coming about because, like I said, this conversation wouldn't have happened 30, 40, 50 years ago. You know what I mean? I used to listen to my I know my brother's listening. I know he's listening, Ghost Watching. But I shouldn't be saying, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I used to listen to my mom and my dad when they would get into a little spat or whatever, and they one would go in one room, one would come in the living room and watch television. Little did we know, ladies and gentlemen, they make up in their own way, But I used to listen to my dad say, look, Margaret, all you care about is getting in that car and driving. That car needs more than gas. It doesn't run off air. It needs to be, you'll just get in that car, drive, and expect me to blah, 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 and expect me, you know what I mean? And she'll just say, Jimmy, well, I didn't know, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So I did not understand that as a kid until I grew up, and like, man, that dude, he has a lot on him. And basically what he's saying to mama was, look, man, I need you to pay attention. I need you to pay attention more so than me. If be proactive. You know what I'm saying? Look at your tires. Don't wait until they're thin. You know what I mean? Don't wait until, I used to, I didn't understand that now, but I understand it now as a father, as someone who pays bills, who buys tires, who helps people like, my sisters, my bestie over here. You know what I'm saying? But I understand that now. You know what I mean? My dad used to work long hours. He had a lot on him. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm coming from. You know what I mean? But like I said, we did not have this kind of conversation 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's great that we have this conversation now. I, Go ahead, sis. Go ahead. Go ahead, Joe. The link is pinned, ladies and gentlemen.
You have mentioned though, and I'm not gonna sit here and mention anything, but a lot of things. That's why I said that. I mentioned those things. I don't know if it was designed that way, because that's why you guys don't see much celebration from those young. If you have young kids, but you got to understand, you choose to be in the predicament that you are, right? You choose to not be married and not be celebrated by your wife. That's a choice, okay? And but you can't speak for, that's why I said my dad was celebrated. My dad had a wife and kids at home. He was celebrated. You know, I wish he was here today so he can get on this panel and school you and school a few of you as a man's man, okay? Because he was a father that was left at a young age with just kids, and you know this. He was left at a young age with 3 kids. He went and got married, took on 3 more kids, and raised 6 kids under his roof. And he was a man that was celebrated, you know? But everybody chooses their own, situation. I can't sit here and complain that, oh, I have to get my tires changed or I have to get my oil changed, because you can't sit there and say anybody does it for me. I handle up my things. He taught me how too. My dad told me one day, Joe, I need you to be, because I was the only daughter that was not married. And he told me some years ago, I need you to be okay, because he was my rock. I turned to him for everything. And he told me a few years ago, I need you to be all right and be able to take care of yourself. I need you to be able to do that. And I knew then, that I needed to take care and be able to take care of everything that I had going on. So I don't sit and complain and cry, because this is my life and I have to make sure and pick up my big girl panties, and I don't sit and cry, you know? So, hey, DR, welcome
Hey,
to the panel.
Hey, 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 how you guys doing? Sorry for my voice. I'm a little hoarse with traveling.
it's all good. It's all good. We can hear you really good. Let me read this before I let you. Queen, the Queen said, "Well, it's only 10% of the men that's really dads." So, Lionel, most of the men just walk off and leave the moms. Um, I said what I said. Says most men that are fathers that I know are celebrated, especially in the current time. And what you got on it, Dr? What's up with you? What's up with it?
Well, I can agree with both of you guys because and again, I can only speak from coming from a black family and, fathers and different things like that. Um, my dad wasn't always around. He was more like a holiday dad. He would pop in and pop out. I was in love with my dad, you know what I mean? And he had got sick with cancer, and I took care of him for a couple years. I would travel and spend the night with him, and I never got that apology that I thought I should have got, but I still respected my father, and I still always would look at it like, if it wasn't for him and my mom, hooking up, being together, I wouldn't even be here. So at the end of the day, I always knew to be respectable and to show respect in those type of areas. But I also look at the fact that there is a lot of fathers that are absent, and then we have those mothers who do speak bad about those fathers. And that is one of the things that I was appreciative with my mother. She never talked bad about my dad. She never, downgraded him or said anything. She said, when you get older, you'll see what type of person he is, and you'll have the type of relationship that you need to have with him. And that's just kind of how it was. But I do believe when Joe say it does start in the home, about how you teach your children. to honor their fathers. And, because like you said, SBK, you guys are providers. You are checking the tires. You are doing all those things. And on top of that, showing your children how to do it. And that doesn't happen a whole lot. But for the ones that do show up and show out, they definitely deserve to be celebrated. And me personally, I celebrate Black fathers just in general, because statistically, or the propaganda that is put out there is that they're not involved. And I feel like that's far from the truth. At least around the people that I know, if the fathers are involved, they are there. They are, going above and beyond. And they're the ones shouldering a lot of the stuff that nobody sees. You know what I mean? So I don't think that they are celebrated as much as they should be. And I do think it starts in the home, because unfortunately, there's a lot of mothers out there who be like, my kids don't need a father, which I think that's crazy. I can't teach my sons how to be men, even though I'm a mother, I'm very strong. I'm, and I do teach them, but I still can't teach them to be a man. You know what I mean? So to try to take that from them, or make it be like, you don't need a man, you don't need a father, you don't need this, that, and the other, I think that's insanity for us to teach our children things like that. So I agree with both of you from both perspectives. I can see where both of you guys are coming from, for sure.
I agree. You're muted.
Yeah, so that was my 2 cents.
Great perspective. I got you. We got my boy, the tongue twisting twangler himself. Urban Lounge Podcast is in the building. The sixth man. What's going on, bro?
Hey, first of all, bro, happy Father Day to you, man. Happy Father Day. Joe, thank you so much for wishing me happy Father Day as well, too. I appreciate that a whole lot. Trust me, it means a lot to me on the cool, though. It really do. Same with you as well, DR. Thank you for the happy Father Day wishes, too. Woman.
You were the first one that I told Urban at midnight.
Me too. Mm-hmm. I reached out to others I care about at midnight, let them know that they appreciate it. And we see them, we see their work, we see their dedication, and they, their perseverance, and, the stuff that they do behind the scenes. And a lot of times they, may feel like, it's routine, but they're having a huge impact. And sometimes, especially when it comes to kids or teenagers, they don't really see it or recognize it until they're a little bit older, the value. And my kids sometimes get upset with me sometimes when I say sometimes some things you're not going to really understand until I'm not here no more. You know what I mean? Then you'll be like, oh, I remember what my mother said. And I said, don't wait until then. Understand what I'm saying now. Because I even remember stuff my mother used to say when I was younger. So it's important to reach out and let them know that they are appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, facts. Appreciate that a whole lot. Like I say, that means a lot to us. That y'all appreciate us. Y'all appreciate the things that we do, not only for ourselves, dealing with self-love, but also for our families and the community as well too. We appreciate that a whole lot. Hey, I have no idea what y'all was talking about, by the way. So yeah, you know how I'm gonna do, man. I'm just gonna roll with it, bro.
roll with it.
Hey.
We just had a poll that I just closed out, and we was talking about basically, do fathers get enough appreciation on Father's Day compared to mothers? And let's see, 44% of the people in the chat, or the ghost watchers included, they say nope, not even close. And 33% says depends on the household. 14% says yes, things are changing, and 7% say somewhat. So I know you want to cook on that, bro, as far as our mothers being more appreciated than fathers. So,
Cause I mean, this is an absolute fact that the mothers are more appreciative than the fathers. Now, I understand. I understand that the reason why is because there are absent fathers out there. Get that, granted, understandable, but they make it seem as though as that it's more absent fathers out there than phenomenal fathers out there. That's the problem. When that's not true at all. You have way more fathers that are present in a children's life, but yet it's still they're not being appreciative at all. But at the same time, the focus is more on the absent fathers. The focus is more in these fathers who's not there for their children and the things that they do. The lack of them paying child support, the lack of them, spending time with their children, and different things like that. The focus be mainly on them versus on us who literally are doing the work. That's why I see.
right.
And they got to change. And to be honest with you, it's not really the brother who's talking about this. It's mainly the women who are talking about this all the time. Let's keep it real.
Right.
I want to give a shout out to the fathers too, who may not have a job or don't have a lot of money, but they're present. And I think a lot of times that goes, unnoticed because, it's hard out here. You know what I'm saying? To make a living and to, if you have, several children or whatever, it's not. And I try to teach my kids too. It's not most kids when they're younger. Yeah, it's about what they can get, bought or different things like that. But
Hmm.
it's more to it than that. Me personally, I prefer the quality time over quantity. So you have to look at it from different perspectives. Those ones who show up and they may not have, money or shoes or whatever, but they're there emotionally, they're there physically. And to me, that's a lot. And I know a lot of times mothers will, put those men down and be like, well, what you bringing, what you got, or whatever. I ain't really got nothing, but I'm here. So a lot of times those type of feelings are transferred over to the children, and then they're looking for handouts when they really need emotional love and care before any of that. All the other stuff will come, but to me that's very important versus having a pair of brand new shoes or whatever the case may be. I know a lot of times kids, they don't learn that until they get older, but again, that's what are we teaching our children as they grow up, and what value, what are they valuing versus time versus money and different things like
Hmm.
that. So that's unfortunate.
I'm glad that you mentioned about time because it's safe for us to enter into the topic about parental alienation. All right, you have a majority of women out there. They get upset because their relationships have failed with that man. And guess what they do? They end up weaponizing their children to alienate them from their fathers. Now, there are many fathers out there right now that really do want to spend time with their children, but unfortunately, the baby mama is not allowing them to do that, regardless of the court order, regardless of visitation orders. They're still doing that. Hell, there are some who are literally flee to another state purposely just so they can alienate their child from their own father.
That is true. We see it a lot, and it's them holes like that that I
Hmm.
don't respect. And I'll call you out on it, especially if I know you personally. And you know what I'm saying, like you saying, just purposely alienating a child from their parent. That's just grimy to me, and it doesn't benefit anybody in the situation, and it's done all out of spite, and it's raggedy and it's ratchet to me.
Yeah. In this particular conversation, I could agree with Joe with her famous choose better because we got to hold ourselves accountable as well too, fellas, about the women that we choose to procreate with. We got to keep it real, keep it a buck. You know what I'm saying? When we end up choosing these wrong women and they end up doing this to us, I mean, this is the karma that we present to ourselves.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people be being fraudulent, And if you ain't like we talk about, you know, it's some things that people you don't see about them until other situations happen. Some people could be cool all the way up until they have a child, and then they flip the script and be on some other stuff, and you be like, where did this come from? So you can originally be, this person is cool, they nice, they, everything is fine, but then when they have a child and say you're not catering to them a certain type of way or doing things a certain type of way, then they change. So yes, it does have a lot to do with, choosing, like, and this is just kind of off, but just 50 Cent, I've been seeing him trolling both his baby mamas, and from the one where his oldest son and them scamming, to Daphne chick who's doing the Diddy thing,
Hmm.
then with his baby mama. So you can't call them, you calling them bitches and hoes now, but that's who you laid up with, you know. But people do change, situations change, money changes people, and be having them on some real weird type of stuff, having you, doing things that, is just not morally correct at all.
I
Yeah.
completely
So
agree with that.
yeah. So I've been doing a little bit of research on that based on what you're talking about, Dior,
Hmm.
and I have came to the conclusion that there is a situation that happens that causes that man and that woman to change when they have their child.
Mm. What
The
is that?
situation is this: either that man didn't want to have that child to begin with in the first place, and that woman decides to have that child anyway,
Hmm.
or the woman didn't want to have the child, but the man kind of coerced the woman to have the child.
Mm.
So either or in those situations, they've been placed in a situation that they really didn't want to happen to, they really didn't want to happen in the first place.
So
And
like,
so now they
so
have
they
to
forcing
now they're dealing
people.
with that.
So
Yeah,
they
exactly.
force. So these is those conversations we was talking about that need to be had in the beginning. Do you want children? Do you want, where, those type of questions need to be asked, because you will be in a situation where there's so much resentment and bitterness that's there after the fact, and then you trying to pick up the pieces, and unfortunately the children are the ones who have to suffer for it, because they's like, I didn't even ask to be here, and I'm in the middle of y'all BS, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
that's, again, those type of people, I just, I look at them side eye, because I'm like, really, you know but you got a lot of women that's, with these basketball players or athletes that get with them just to have children, just so they can secure the bag, and where in their mind they're like, okay, I know, is the man thinking, this is just who I'm gonna be with, we're gonna have children, but really, what is their motive? You got to find out what are people motives, if you can, behind, what they're really doing.
Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
saying, uh-huh. I was saying I completely agree because, and I speak from experience. When I say choose better, I'm speaking to myself first because, yes, that's, I completely agree with DR. You have to have those conversations up front. You have to find out if you both have the same, but also it doesn't mean that they could have a front, like you say. They could be telling you one thing just to get you.
Right.
But even after the fact, don't wait 9 years like me
Hmm.
taking the BS.
Yeah.
And that's why I speak on it, y'all, because I speak from experience. I'm not speaking on something and I'm just judging anybody.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I
My
agree.
kids, keeping them together, you know, and I wasn't. And I found out later that I wasn't. So that's why I say the things. Yes, you have to have those conversations up front, but they could be putting up a front. And then
Hmm.
once, and then also because you're not, everything's not together, your bills aren't together, you haven't gone through the stress of having it, all takes work. And some people don't, they can't pick up their big boy, big girl panties and work together. And so all that comes, comes to you in that relationship once you are together, and then things change. But you don't have to stay. I no longer am an advocate for, not staying. But a lot of people aren't willing to make it or to fight for it. Both of you have to fight. And that's what you have to know. You have to know, are we both going to stick it out? Are we both going to try to do what we can? And you can't just, man, it choose better. That's
Um,
all I gotta
yeah,
say.
the only problem with that, Joe, is that it's been incentivized for people to have a backup plan now versus back in the day. Back in the day, it wasn't really an option for them to do that because it was based on, at the end of the day, survival. But now, since not only men work but women work as well too, and women have way more exit plans than a man, then of course they're not going to fight for that relationship. The moment when they feel like that their relationship is not working out to them, they're going to exit out right in the nerve. Especially if they get married, all they're going to do is say irreconcilable differences and divorce out and be done with it.
Like SBK said that 30 years ago, but we wasn't having those type of conversations. You know what I mean? And I'm very, very transparent with my children about what it is what it is. I'd rather give it to them raw and uncut than, you know what I'm saying, they go out there and they hear some fluff, stuff that's not what the real reality of it is and what's really going on. And I teach them pretty young about what's really going on and what to expect in this day and age, because I don't think it's beneficial for me not to tell them that. You know what I mean? Because like we were just saying, many people are just out there being fraudulent and not being honest, and you'll get into situations where you'll look up 5 years from now and like, damn, where did time go? And you still stuck in that situation. You know what I mean? So that's an issue.
Yeah, then also real quick, I do want to let Joe know this. I want to let her know that when I be messing with her about the choose better thing, I actually agree with that wholeheartedly. I really do. I really do. I honestly believe that you need to get a T-shirt saying "Choose Better" and sell that on your YouTube shop for real, because that is a phenomenal saying for real. Because we honestly do need to choose better. We honestly do need to vet each other out properly. You know what I mean?
We got two more people on the panel. I
Oh,
said,
you muted, Joe.
You muted,
Oh,
Joe.
you was muted.
Yeah, you was muted, Joe.
I was saying, I'm sorry, real quick. I don't take any offense by it. Anything I say, I stand on, and I say it for a reason. I don't say it because I'm out here judging nobody. I'm saying it because I've always been someone who I speak to me first, and I just want to help someone else from my experiences because I'm old. I've been through, so that's all.
Yeah.
Hey, cat, I said what I said.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
I said
Hello,
what I said.
everybody.
Hey,
Hey,
T
hey,
Cat,
Happy
I
Rose,
said
Father's
what
Day
I said.
again.
The beautiful Row and the beautiful I said what I said are up on the panel. I
Mm.
said, how you doing, Queens?
Oh, I'm doing great. How you guys doing today? I hope everybody's having a happy Father's Day.
Everything is yes. Everything is
phenomenal.
copacetic, Queen. Copacetic.
Great, great, great. I'm glad y'all happy today.
What you
What,
got on,
hold on. What is that supposed to mean?
man?
Oh Lord.
I didn't like that tone on that.
I just said I'm glad y'all happy today. That's all.
You, Urban, she said, did you hear the emphasis? I'm glad y'all are happy today.
Yeah, like
Thanks.
it's an inconvenience for us to be happy.
Well,
Happy today.
I just, hey, it is what it is. That's all I'm gonna say. Um, but I just want to say happy Father's Day to all the guys in the chat. Um, if I missed you or what have you, I'm not trying to overlook anyone, but I just want to give a shout out to my family members. And the reason why I want to give a shout out to my family members, because we all know what we went through. Like SBK said, 30 years ago, this conversation wasn't had. Fathers was just expect to be whoever they were. If they were in your life, they were in your life. If they wasn't, then they just wasn't. And that was the case for me. My father wasn't in my life, but my mother never gave us a negative attitude about him. She allowed us to grow up and to think whatever we wanted to think about him. She never gave us her opinion, although they had a very toxic, tumultuous relationship. She kind of gave us a few of the details of, what went down, but she never tried to make our mind up about how we felt about him. So I salute her for that. And also, now in my family, I am seeing the young men in my family step up to the plate, and I salute them because basically they grew up with me, and most of us we didn't have our fathers around, and I don't know what happened to the fathers in the 60s and 70s. But for whatever reason, a lot of them, can't say all of them, but a lot of them were MIA for whatever the reason was. And so a lot of my cousins um, didn't grow up with their father, including my brother. But they made sure that they were father to their kids, and now their kids are being fathers to their children. And so even my nephews and my son, they're young men, they're under 30, and they're still trying to be a father. And like Dr. says, a lot of them don't, some of them don't have a lot of money, but I do show them putting in the time. And even one of my nephews have a very disabled son. He has cerebral palsy, so he have a lot of issues. But he's still taking me in the summertime and deal with whatever issues that he's going through. He still take that time out to form a relationship with his son. So, I just want to really kind of salute all the younger brothers because it looked like they're stepping up the plate. They're stepping up to the plate, and they're improving and they're doing better than what the previous fathers did. Now, any father that has been a father that I've seen and I've been around, I've seen they are celebrated. They may not be as celebrated as much as the mom, and I can't blame. You can't really blame the kids for that, and I just blame society for that because we're driven by we're motivated by what we see in the stores, right? When we go to the store, they can't you can't get over one holiday before the next holiday, come up. And the stores put a lot of emphasis, retail put a lot of emphasis on Mother's Day, and they mention the fathers. And a lot of times, people feel like that they're not brainwashed or they're, that it's not getting it into their minds. But the little subliminal messages do get into your mind. When you're in the store, it's the reason why they have that very soft music in some department stores is to relax you so that you can spend a lot of money. Branding is very powerful. When you watch TV, when you listen to the radio, it gets into your mind. And I know everybody can attest to this. Sometimes you hear a song on the radio and you just hate that song. You can't stand that song. But every hour on the hour, you may hear that song 10 or 15 times, and you'll find yourself singing that song and learning that song only because they played it so much. And that's what branding and advertisement does. It get into your psyche without even you realizing that it's in your psyche. Now, can't blame it all on retail, but TV and ads and a lot of society is a big motivating factor, and it has a lot to do with it. And even I heard some Joe say that the kids are in school when Mother's Day come around, and that's all fine and dandy. But I used to take my kids to the Michaels and all the arts and crafts stores or what have you. And if they wanted to make their dad a Father's Day card, well, then I would make sure that they did that. And that's another thing that I instilled in my kids. Although me and their father didn't work it out, I still never try to put a bad taste in their mouth about their father. I let them form their own relationship with their father. I made sure they spent time with their father, and I was never one of those bitter baby mamas. that if I'm mad at you, you can't see your child, or if you didn't pay child support, then you can't see your child. That, to me, that's wrong to do, because it's not about just money. It's about kids care about your time more than they care about your money. The baby mama might want the money, but the kid don't care about that. Yes, kids don't want to be talked about. They don't want to be mocked or what have you, because they may not have the latest or the best of the best. But in actuality, if you ask any child that's under 10, would they prefer that their parents spend a lot of time with them or spend a lot of money with them? And I guarantee you they'll pick time every time, because that's what kids like. They like your time. They don't care about your money. They'll spend your money, but it's not the most important thing to them. And to me, time is more important than money.
Hey, as I was saying, can I interject for one
Sure,
moment?
sure.
You mentioned about the power of consumerism with the retail, where they have a huge emphasis on promoting mothers more than fathers. Correct?
Hmm. Yeah, they do.
I want to present this to y'all. Okay, I want to let y'all know that women are master manipulators. Now, I want y'all to stay with me on this. I'm not saying this in this particular situation. I'm not saying this in a negative way. Okay, I'm actually saying this in a positive way. The reason why I'm saying that women are master manipulators, because the retailers and the consumers and different things like that, or all the advertisers, they know that women are master manipulators. Meaning that if you put a woman in front of anything, 9 times out of 10, it's going to influence people to buy that particular product. Correct?
Correct.
This is the reason why, ladies, we are putting a huge emphasis on Father's Day and also on men's mental health. The reason why is because if the women were to like really be serious about this, right, and use their manipulation tactics, right, then it would change. It would be balanced out to where when Father Day come around, it'll have that same level with Mother's Day, correct? But it takes for the women to actually be on our side, to literally be with us and make sure that this is being pushed out for us. That's all I'm saying.
I agree to a
Say
certain extent,
something, y'all, because I don't want
but
to be super long. Because, I'm on pro.
You cutting in and out, Ro.
You cutting in and out, bro. T-Cat. Ro.
You
Ro, can
sound
you
like
hear?
you're underwater.
You're in the matrix, sweetheart. You still in the
Ro, you
matrix. You in the
Ro, you in
matrix,
the middle.
girl.
Yeah, your shoes in the middle of the sea. Row your boat.
so what I was gonna say was I don't really celebrate holidays like that. And that's one of the main reasons is because, you know, me personally and my kids and stuff, we love on each other all throughout the year. I'm doing stuff for them, or if I buy things for them, or they do things for me. It doesn't have to be Mother's Day. It doesn't have to be, because a lot of times they be like, Mom, what you want for Mother's Day? I be like, I don't want, I don't need anything. I don't want anything. And they'll be looking at me crazy or whatever, but I really don't. And it's just because they do things, sweet things for me throughout the whole year, whether it's something small or something big. And I think, again, that's where where we talk about a lot of that stuff starts at home. You don't have to wait to a special holiday or whatever the case may be to love on somebody, or to love on the father, or to love on the mother, or whatever. We're doing that throughout the whole year. So knowing, again, when these holidays come around, like I said, what I said is that, you know it's put out there for you to spend money and to do different things like that. So you have to look at things in the grand scheme of it, that it's just not about the holidays. It's how you being treated throughout the whole year. I don't need a special day, or I don't need, they don't, it has to have to be their birthdays or whatever, because it's being done throughout the whole year. And just like with my dad, he wasn't really around. He was, like I said, kind of like a holiday dad. And now he's, he be calling me, and I be like to myself, what you want? What you got? He just be on me, and I be kind of like, get off me, like, quick call. Cause I'm, I had put my wall up a long, long time ago. So, now that he wants to be heavily involved in my life and calling me and stuff, sometimes it's taking me a little bit to, you know, receive it, and that's just me trying to work on me too. Cause maybe he, realizing, I didn't do the best and now I'm trying to do the best, that's why I say it's important to start young, because sometimes the damage can be already done and it can't always be completely healed or completely fixed. You know what I mean? So again, like you were saying, my mother didn't talk bad about him or, tell me not to, engage with him or anything like that. So a lot of this stuff starts at home. It starts at home.
Hey, Dr. Imagine, Dr. If we was all on one accord with that, where we celebrate each other every single day. Do you know how phenomenal our community would be? That would be great. You know what I'm saying? But the problem about that is we have a portion of us who believe in that, or what you're talking about right now. Then you have another portion of us who don't even want to subscribe to that out period. They're still stuck in the consumerism. They're still stuck in that you got to do this according to what the government tell you to do. And that's an issue. That's a problem. I say this, if we could get at least about maybe like 60% or 65% of us on that one accord, then the remaining percentage will eventually, jump on board with that. But once again, that goes back to the women, based on the women and how the way women are manipulators, and once again, I'm saying this in a positive way and not in a negative way. Y'all can manipulate and eventually allow this thing to happen the same exact way where women in general came out together collectively and said, no more, we didn't want to be part of this patriarchal system no more. We want to fight for our rights. We want to fight for our rights to vote. You know what I'm saying? And y'all end up doing that.
Oh, I think it's dangerous.
And look at where we at right now.
It's very dangerous to play with people's children, because it's men out there that's crashing out because there's women out there who are trying to keep them from their children and, like you were saying, alienating them and moving to a whole nother state, and there's no conversations happen. And then they crash out and they do something crazy and all that kind of stuff. Even I think it was a couple shows ago, we were talking about how, I don't know, what was it, talking about Doug Christie and them, how you have fathers who have children and then come to find out they're not their children. They've been paying child support. They've been doing this, that, and the other, being just a normal father. And if he crash out, then he in the wrong. And I don't subscribe to that. I feel like the woman need her ass locked up, especially if she knew and she know that that's wasn't his child. And, it's just wrong on so many levels to me. So it's dangerous when you play with people's emotions like that, especially when it comes to their children. That's just not something you should do.
See, even that situation right there, I got to be honest with you. The men who end up being a part of that, they got to be held accountable for that. The reason why I say that is because they have plenty of opportunity to get that DNA test and find out if that child is really theirs or not. You know what I'm saying? Prior before they even signing their contract or their birth certificate, they got plenty of opportunity to do that prior before that.
But how many men are doing that when you're in a monogamous relationship and y'all been
exactly
years and you have a child? Why would I even think, or why would he even have a second thought that, but I guess you have to, like, man, this might not be my child. And then if I ask for a DNA test, she's going to be feeling some type of way. You know what I mean? But it's like, damn.
Correct.
You kind of have to, because you don't know.
Yeah, because we're living in a modern day time. That's why I really emphasize with y'all to consider what's happening currently right now, not in your personal social bubble, but be considerate about the reality of the modern day data time. Yes, you do. You have to do these things. You have to make sure you get a DNA test, make sure this child is yours. Yes, you have to do background checks on people as well too, because you don't know what people's mind is at our period. Yes, you do. You have to do your due diligence. If you have a business or wherever the case may be honest with you, it's beneficial for you to even get the prenuptial agreement as well too. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and you got to ask these men, do they like men? You got to ask
a lot of stuff.
Because
ask women, do they like
dipping dabbling in the wrong hole, and then you 2 3 years down the line, you be like, bruh, what?
Babe, that's
We
what scares me. I don't know who's a DL and who's not, y'all. Mm-mm.
right? That's out.
Well, I feel like, I don't step on no toes or nothing. But here we go. I feel like, back in the day, it was mama's baby, daddy's maybe. And if they said that was your baby, then these men just went along with that.
Yep, they
And
did.
some of these women were like Jackie Christie. They knew that this dude wasn't the baby father, but if they say it was, I know in my time frame, a lot of these chicks would just, say, "Were you the daddy?" And the dude went with it. It was no questions. It was, no test
That's what I'm saying. But
or nothing. And
be
it was
wrong.
very expensive to get a DNA test back then. But now it doesn't cost that much to find out if you're the father or not. And so I wholeheartedly support anybody that's having any dude that's having a child with a woman, to get a DNA test. When I brought that up to my son, he argued with me. I know that's my child. I know that's my child. Now here we are, 8, 9 years later, because the girl, when you have an argument with somebody, they may say anything, and a lot of times women will say that to a dude. This ain't your baby anyway. So I'm sure she said that a couple of times in order for him to tell me, well, I don't know if that's my baby or not now. And I'm like, well, I tried to get you to get a DNA test, but you shot me down, told
And
me, you were very
if
sure.
you and if it is, you wouldn't be mad, right? You wouldn't even be tripping because you know that that's the
Right.
father.
Hmm. You want to know what's interesting about this whole conversation is this. Even if the dude found out that the child not his, right, deep down in his heart, he already made a bond with that child,
Yeah.
and more likely he'll still want to be a part of that child life. But guess what? What would make him consider not being a part of that child life is not the child, but it's actually the mother for her actions and behavior. And so he ended up choosing his mental health over everything else, even when it hurts him. It hurt that child.
Yeah.
And
and
she'll
and
probably
and,
say
and that's
something like,
exactly what I told him. You've already formed a bond with him. So I mean, it'll take your responsibility away financially, but what are you gonna do? Are you just gonna walk away from him? But one thing that she would never do is allow him to stay at my house by himself overnight, because she probably knew that I was gonna go ahead and go to Walgreens, get that test and swab his mouth, and because I was because my son wouldn't do it, and I had to look out for his best interest. But they made sure that I never kept him by myself. If he stayed all night, they stayed all night. It's like I never really had a lot of an opportunity, to be alone with him. Now my granddaughter, by my daughter, I have to send her home. Yeah,
Hmm.
I can't get
So,
rid of her. But my
so
grandson is a totally different story.
I'm gonna put the young man on game. All right. Let's say hypothetically speaking that your one girl, whatever, she say that she's pregnant and you're the one baby daddy, right? You say that, hey, I want to get a DNA test for this child. She end up on tripping and stuff, right? And ultimately she end up saying, you know what? If you say this child ain't mine, then I'm gonna put you on child support. Now, here's the game, fellas. The moment when she say that, let her. The reason why is simply because the Office of Attorney General is going to give out free DNA tests right in and there. But the only caveat behind that is that you got to request it. If you don't request it, then she could just go in there and say an old crazy thing. Then next thing you know, you paying child support for a child that don't even belong to you. But you have to request it, and they'll do it for free.
that happened to a friend of mine. She put him on child support, and he took the DNA test, and come to find out it wasn't his child. But they didn't change the birth certificate. They kept
Hmm.
the baby's last name, and I'm like, how is that even possible? How come that can't be changed? Uh,
Yeah, because that birth certificate is under a contract, it's under a bond. So once it been signed, then it's signed and sealed, and it can't be changed. And so what you'll have to do, by law, you have to literally go and do a name change. You know, the same exact way how women end up changing their name when they become married, right? From their sub name to their husband last name. You have to do the same exact thing for the child. But you also have to, you know, prove that the child is not yours, and it does take a lot out of that. Oh, and one other thing that they have to do is that they have to um damn, I can't think of it. It's not emasculate, not emancipation. So they have to do a word emancipation on that child as well too. That's the only way I can think of right now. They have to do a emancipation on that child
Yeah, they
to
basically
no
have
longer.
they basically have to change their birth certificate. They have to change their social security number, and they have to pay for that also. So
Yeah,
to
yeah,
make
it's
it
a lot.
legal.
Okay,
Hmm.
okay, time out, y'all. We got the you got the great Ro in the. I'm gonna let her speak. Uh, I I want to say, Ro, we miss you. It's been a long time, and
Yes,
I know
ma'am.
this. I know this day. I know this day is very much means a lot to you. So, what you got on everything? What you got to say?
Well, can y'all hear me now? Am I better?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I had to
Okay.
close out some apps because I be on this phone all day, swiping and everything. But I don't want to stay up here long because I be on Tylenol threes and codeine, so I be in and out. I be a little loopy all the time. But anyway, my father, he was a great father, and he been in my life from the day I was born to the day that he died. You know, he wasn't perfect, but he was a great father. You know, he took me to my first training, bro, father. My first time going to a gynecologist, father. You know, first time my first dance was my dad. You know, he was a great father, but he wasn't perfect, you know. Um and I miss him. You know, I hold that torch for him. You know, he's still here at the house. I cremated him and he's still here in the iron. You know, I see him every day. But that's the bond that I have with my dad. I even want to be buried with my dad. If I was to die, I want I want to get cremated too, and I want my ashes to be interred with his. You know, when I was born, I was finna get ready to die. I was a preemie. He the one that stepped up and gave me the blood for me to live. You know what I'm saying? So I had a great father. So I don't have no issues with men and all this, you know, child support going on. I didn't have all that. I don't know how that feel. Even, you know, when he was living here with me as a roommate, he paid my mortgage. So I already know what a man's supposed to do, you know, pay my damn mortgage. You know, if you can't pay my mortgage, I don't want to be with you. You can't fuck over here. I'm sorry. You know. Um he was a great teacher, you know. Um and I miss him dearly. You know, I cry with him sometime, and you know, I haven't told him yet that I broke my arm. You know, went to him and because he's in my den. You know, I go over there and dust him off and talk to him and pray about him and everything and wish him to watch over me still. You know, but yeah, my father was my everything. You know, and the reason why is because he was in my life from birth until his death. And I celebrate his life every single day. It wasn't no Father's Day involved. If I see a shirt that my dad like, I go buy it. If I see some cologne that I feel like he gonna smell good in, I'm buying it for my dad. And some men that I dated got jealous of how I treated my daddy. My dad was king. You know, if you want to take that crown, then you got to show me something. You know, you gonna have to treat me like my father treat me. You know, he took care of me when I was sick and everything. And it was my turn to take care of him when he got sick with congestive heart failure. And I was in the hospital with him every time. Even I work overtime and stuff, I was tired and everything. And sometimes he tell me, Ro, you need to take a day off. You know, this stay home, I'll be all right, you know. But he was here with me when he passed away. You know, I seen him when he took his last breath. And that's way it's supposed to be with these fathers. You have to be in your child's life, not part time, but full time, 100%, 24/7. Even if you're not living with the mother or you don't have no great relationship with the mother or whatever, you still gonna have to be there in order for your child to treat you right and treat you like a Father's Day every day. You know, if my father was living today, I would be trying to take him out, for a steak or something, or some. He loved chicken strips and stuff. I would take him out for that, because he loved cheddars. So I would take him out for that and buy him not just a tie. I would buy him a whole outfit, some cologne, some tennis shoes, everything. Cause that's how much my dad meant to me, and he gave me life. He kept me living and everything. And I wish that a lot of women had a father like mine. I do.
I wanted you to speak because I knew this day. I'm so actually, I was hoping that you came up on the panel because you and I have a personal relationship. You know, try to talk to you each and every day, try to check up on you each and every day. I know that this day means a lot to you. I'm so happy that you came up on the panel to talk about this because I know how close you were to your dad. And so I'm so glad that you came up on the panel to speak and just share with everybody how you feel about this day and how personal that is to you because you know your dad was your rock. You know what I'm saying? A lot of our dads were our rocks. You know what I'm saying? And you're one of them. So I'm glad that you came up and you spoke on it.
Yeah, my dad was the king, and he cannot be replaced. My auntie, when I had the car wreck, she was like, "Bro, you really got to meet you some new people." You know, because I'm counting on her to, come up to the hospital and all that type of stuff. Because I really don't have nobody. Because most of my friends, I'm at the age now that my friends are passing away. You know, yeah, my friends are passing away. My dad passed away because he was my best. He was my bestie. You know, and it's kind of hard to replace those good friends in your life once they pass. Um,
Absolutely.
and I get attached to people. Once I get attached to you, I don't want to let you go.
Yep.
you
I
know.
I want to say like for folks like you, myself, Joe, other folks that have lost their fathers and whatnot, and I'm highlighting my big sis right here, uh, who just lost her dad last week and just buried her dad this past
Oh my
Friday.
God, E. I'm sorry to hear that, E.
Yeah, she just I know she's gonna kick my ass for saying this because she don't like to be, but she just buried her father Friday, and then she had to show she had to show with me Friday. You know what I'm saying? That's how tough uh, Big Sis is. You know what I mean?
And she
I
finally changed her channel. Thank the
Yep,
Lord. She
yep. She
finally
got
changed it. I was
yep.
like, when are you gonna change the channel?
Yeah, she done changed it now for the past this going on her second week. Yeah, second
Yeah.
week. But yeah, but but yeah, she buried her father Friday, and had the show with me the same Friday, and I basically kind of like said, you know, sis, you don't have to do this show. She's like, bro, I need to do this show with you. You know what I mean? And if you guys go back and look at that show, uh, we had fun. You would never could have told could tell that she was like, you know what I mean? And so she
I
gonna
was in pain on Friday, and so I
yeah,
couldn't come. Yeah, I went
I
to sleep.
I know you've been in pain, but I know she's gonna kick my ass for even saying this, but this is her first fall. I think of her. I think of Joe. I think all the other ones that I'm close with. My little bro, Peter Gabucci, who lost his dad. This is his first. He lost his dad and his mom. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? At around the same time. Um, uh, this is their first Father's Day, first Mother's Day without their parents, and so she, uh, I want to send out my condolences. I didn't want to say anything. I wasn't going to say anything Friday, whatever, but sis, we love you. I love you. You know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? The story that you had, bro, is kind of similar to sis. You know what I'm saying? So she, she's a toughie, but we all have feelings, and when it comes to our fathers or whatever, if we're, our fathers, the fathers, I know how you feel, Joe and Ro and sis. You guys were pretty tight with your dads. Your dad, I tell my daughter straight up about how these dudes ain't about shit. You know what I'm saying? Um, I just straight up tell them, you know what I mean? And you guys, I listen to all of you guys' stories. Um, and your dad's told you the truth, you know what I'm saying, was very, very raw and real. You know what I mean? Just because you had daughters doesn't mean we have to hold back about how the world is, because every daughter, every woman needs that male figure to keep it real. You know what I'm saying? And so, I want to say shout out to Rose, shout out to Joe, shout out to my big sis, E. Um, I'm thankful for that. For you guys coming up on it. I let you go kick my ass for saying this, but we love you, sis. But I have a question. I have a question to the great Urban Lounge podcast. This question is this: you talk about the modern day dating, modern day women. You know what I'm saying? Traditional women. When it comes to fathers and so forth and so on, and modern day and traditional relationships, traditional thinking, and all that, I want your thoughts on that, and I want you guys to, the ladies in the chat, the ladies on the panel, I want y'all to answer too. But I want Urban to answer that. What are your thoughts on uh, modern day and traditional thinking and dating and all that when it relates to a father?
Well, my thoughts on this is that when it comes to modern day dating, right, the father is um, actually absent. He's absent for different reasons. He's absent either because, like I stated earlier, the mother's alienating him from his child, or he's literally being a deadbeat father because they literally didn't choose wisely. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it real. Um, but when it comes to the traditional dating and traditional fathers, yeah, the traditional fathers are present in the children's life. They're actually very active, but however, they don't be recognized at all. And I appreciate Dr. for having that conversation where she said that, hey, this is something that we need to practice every single night, every single day versus just on the holiday, because that's true. Because if we practice this on every single day, then yeah, that father will be recognized every single day. Ladies, I want y'all to understand this. Uh, we as men, we are emotional, okay, but we're not hyper emotional. All right. So we do appreciate where we be honored. We do appreciate it where y'all honor us, y'all respect us, y'all do certain things so we could feel a certain type of way towards you. Like gifts where it be very considerate. I mean, a thoughtful gift, not something you just like, well, I'm just gonna do it just to make them feel better. But you literally take the time out of your effort to do it. We really do appreciate that a whole lot. And we be wanting more of that from y'all. You know what I'm saying? When we receive that from y'all, it motivates us to want to even do even more better, not only as a father, but as a boyfriend or either as a husband as well too. That's also what's lacking in modern dating, is that it's so much of a give. It's so much more of a take instead of a give. You know what I'm saying? That's what I noticed. So I hope that's plenty, bro.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
It's
Y'all
so
chime
scary because I actually agree with him. It's scary. It's scary.
I'm gonna add something in here, but I'm gonna drop down. Modern day, dating with a father. What I used to do with my dad, I bring him home and let my dad size him up. And then he would tell me, "Oh, he's not good for you, bro." And I'd be okay. And mentally, I'm telling myself, I'm just gonna make him out of a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Because he do got that good dick. But but I won't get really, really serious with him. You know, I just won't get serious because Daddy said he ain't that damn good. So I bring him to my dad and see what kind of man he is and everything because y'all men do know each other. You know who's trying to pimp or who's who ain't who's a slouch who ain't gonna be a good father and all. Y'all can size a man up. So that's what I do. I let my dad size him up. And if he ain't by my daddy said he ain't by shit, I listen to my dad and just make him out of a fuck if he good in bed and don't spend no money on him. You know, I don't cook for him. This is all you gonna get out of me if you ain't good. So,
Did you tell Daddy that?
huh?
Did you tell Daddy that that's what you were doing?
Yeah, I sure did. I was real close to my dad. I tell my dad, yeah, he got some good stuff. I'm just gonna go over there and go get it. You know,
She's
after my dad, you know what I'm saying,
back.
after he got sick and everything, I just started telling my dad everything. Start confessing to him. I skipped school. Yeah, I sure did. Just go have some sex.
TK,
I did this. I was
TK,
on birth control pills.
TK, I miss you, sis. She's back,
I actually
y'all. She
told my
back.
dad.
I would tell daddy, you know what I'm saying? Why not? What he gonna do? Whoop me with a belt?
No, me and my dad, I actually told my dad everything. I mean, like if I had, I did, y'all. I have to be honest. Like I had, sneaked out, I had sneaked out of the house. I told him everything I had done once upon a time, though, right? Once upon a time. So, anyway, sorry.
We even drank together. He drank his non-alcoholic beer, and I would have my little old wine, and we would watch movies together. We would, so we talked. He was my best friend. We had all kind of conversations in the emergency room and stuff. When he passed away, I was the one to watch him, get cremated. I smelled, burning flesh, and I wouldn't, recommend it, but I'm going through the whole process with my father, so nobody won't screw him over. No, nobody not gonna screw over my daddy. And that I'm very still protective of his ashes. So you know what I'm saying. So now we ain't finna fuck around and find out over here.
I know that's. I know that's. I want to say congratulations to Thrive and Glow with Joe. I'm giving out another winner, and let's give out another winner. Um, let's choose another winner, shall we? And the winner is 2 Cents Gorilla.
Hey,
Hey, Samoa Gorilla, yay, he won
Two,
something.
2 Cents
You,
Gorilla.
you know good and well, bro is not gonna let you give him
He
nothing,
ain't gonna
bro.
let me. He ain't gonna let me do it. He ain't gonna let me do it. You gonna put your link in the chat, bro?
maybe
You
he was this time. Y'all let him. Oh,
you gonna put your cash app in?
It's Father's Day. He might let you give him something.
Yeah, take it. It's free. My dad always say, if it's something for free, take it, no matter what it is.
I know that's right.
take a drink. Have a drink on us.
Oh my god! So there was
Well,
the
I want
link.
to. Oh,
Go
go
ahead, go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. I said, go ahead, Queen. Go ahead.
I was just gonna answer I was just gonna answer the question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
You said about modern men, right? How did we feel about them, and do we feel like they're stepping up? Is that what wasn't that the question?
I mean, you can go ahead and answer that too.
Well, you said urban, and then you wanted the ladies to answer. So
Yeah,
I don't want
absolutely.
to. I don't want to answer if it's two.
I
I just
want you
want
to answer.
to.
I want you to
Y'all,
answer.
y'all
That's what.
finna drop down and everything, so I can take this pill, so I can go to sleep and
All right.
everything, for
Take
I,
my
care of
arm
yourself.
get stiff
love you, bro.
again.
Take care of
Bye, y'all.
yourself.
It was nice seeing y'all. I'm
Nice
Hey,
coming
take
meeting
back
care,
you.
soon. I'm coming
take
back
care,
soon.
We
take
All
can't
care of
right.
wait.
yourself, bro.
All
I
right.
will. All right. Bye, y'all.
All right. Go.
Well,
Go ahead, Queen. Go
based
ahead, Queen.
like I was saying, based on my experience with a non-father, and I'm watching a lot of these fathers step up. I'm thinking it's getting better. And just from what I see, and like I said, all I can go by is my experience and the people that I'm around and what I see. And in my experience, it's getting better. And what I'm finding out is like some of these chicks that's in our family, like probably about 30 years ago, one of my cousin's girlfriends just gave him the kids, and that was just, we were all just flabbergasted. We was like, what is she doing? We couldn't believe that she just gave her two kids away, and she gave them away as babies. She had two girls. They were under 3 years old, 5 years old, and she just let my cousin raise those kids, and that was just, that wasn't heard of in my time frame. And so, he raised them, him and his mom and his sisters and all of them. But it kind of set a precedent in our family because he was a very young man. And from that point on, from watching him raise his girls, a lot of the other guys in our family, like I said, they stepped up to the plate. Now, a lot of these baby mamas have given them a lot of them, just crazy hell about raising the kids. One of them is going back and forth with one of the guys. But these guys, like I said, some of them are under 30 and they're stepping up to the plate. Now, are they choosing the right woman, like Urban say? No. And Joe, choose better. They definitely need to choose better. A lot of them are making these kids and not making the decision to get married, but kind of just getting caught up. But at least they are taking the responsibility and they're breaking the chain in this family where the fathers are not around. And it's a shame to say, but with my generation and a lot of my cousins, none of us had a father around. Like I said, I don't know what happened to those daddies in the 60s and 70s, but they wasn't around like that. So I'm very proud and happy to see a lot of the young men stepping up to the plate now. And I just don't, but the whole thing about it also, not just in my family, I'm looking on social media or whatever, and a lot of the guys are being fathers, but a lot of these guys don't even have children anymore. It's like nobody is having kids no more. So it's a very small number of people that's even actually having kids these days. And I don't know what's going on with the younger generation, but they're not even producing kids like they at the rate that we were producing them. So I don't know if it's mental issues or if it's financial issues or what the problem is, but I just know a lot of young people aren't, they're not making kids like they used to make them. They're not having kids like they used to have them. And so, but in my opinion, a lot of the guys are stepping up now. They are being fathers to their children more so
I,
than when I was growing up.
I want to agree with you on that. I said what I said because Joe has a son who, how old's Craig? Joe, how old's Craig? 23?
29. 29.
29. 29. When I tell y'all Urban and I said what I said in chat, uh, I've never seen a young man at that age. Even I've known him for a number of years now. Um, he 5 kids. He has 5 kids. Four. He has five. He has 5 children. Um, 2 boys and 3 girls. Um, he is. I've never seen a young man that is so passionate about being a father, so involved in their lives, teaching them. I'm looking at this with my own eyes. Um, so passionate about being a father, so passionate about teaching them right, um, because it's something about whenever uh, whenever you have been raised a certain way, and whenever you have that responsibility on you as a parent now, you want better, right? Not to say anything about how you were raised or anything like that, but just looking at that young man and the way he's raising his kids, whatever. He's married. His wife is phenomenal. Wife. They're so young. Do they get it right? No, man. They're young. You know what I'm saying? Uh, they're young people. You know what I'm saying? But they're learning as they go. But I am so proud of the dude or whatever, because as you were saying, I said what I said. This young man here as well, him and his wife, they are so passionate about taking care of their kids. They're so passionate about providing for their kids. Not only do they provide, but they are good parents. And I just wish them the best. I hope they just keep on keeping on, even through the rough times, because that's just inspiration to me. You know what I mean? Because being so young, you know what I mean, they need to be a testament to, a, a lot of our, and I said this, man, and my shirt says it all, by breaking the cycle as black fathers. And he is a young man that is breaking the cycle. Uh, a lot of the young men are not celebrated who are doing the work, who are trying. Young men like Craig, shout out to you, bro. I love you. You know what I'm saying? You're going to listen to this. I love you. A lot of our young men are trying, you know what I'm saying? And they're not going to get it right. They're young. They're going to screw up, but they're trying. And their kids are being raised right. Their kids adore them. They're teaching them the right way. That they're spending time with them. They loving on their wives, whatever. So shout out to the ones that are trying and trying to get it right. I'm looking at Miss Foxy. She was talking about her son. Her son. Being a single father. You know what I mean? Shout out to the ones that are. Society is celebrating us as being people who, and I'm not going to make this a political thing or anything like that. I'm just saying in general, society is always going to always, just project us as being deadbeats and so forth, but that's just not the case. And so we have a lot of young men out there. Shout out to Craig. Shout out to Miss Foxy's son who are doing the work out there and they are being fathers. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to y'all. Those are the people that need to be celebrated, not this Hollywood, this modern day crap that you see on television that's celebrated on music and so forth and so on. Man, there are some young people out there that really do got it. They just go ahead.
Hold on 1 second, Urban.
Okay.
SBK Foxy says she want to come up and hit the link, and she's one of my supporters. So it's
come on, Foxy. The link is pinned at the top, sweetheart. It's at the top. Go ahead and go. And you know what? What I'll do is I'll post it again, so you don't have to. Come on up. Come on up.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to address what she said about her son. I think that's great. Go ahead and read that. What she said. Her son's 39. Scroll up.
Scroll up. There she goes. Hey, sweetheart, how you doing? I'm gonna read you said my son going through being a single father of two daughters, 17 and 2. He's going through court with the 2-year-old mom who is abusive. He is a great father at 39 years of age. And welcome, Queen.
Thank
The
you,
floor,
King.
the
And
floor.
kings and queens on the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am honored for you to be here. You are welcome to come up here anytime. Anytime, you're welcome. So the floor is now yours, ma'am. You can speak on whatever on the subject.
Okay. The reason why I want to talk to you briefly, because you was talking about the young men in the generation. My son was in the military, and he had a young lady that got pregnant by him, which is the 17-year-old daughter. The mother dropped her off with us in the family and rolled out. So my son went through this military thing, and when he got out, he took his baby with him. So of course, us as a family, we helped him out. Stepped in whenever we could while he was getting employed, getting himself established, trying to get a place to live so he can bring his daughter into his home to raise her. So once he did that, he met another young lady, and they was engaged to be married, and they had a little girl who is my pride and joy too. She's her name is Zola, and she has sickle cell anemia. So her mother has sickle cell anemia, and both of the parents have sickle cell. So she ended up with the sickle cell disease. Well, the mother, she was 8 months old, and my son had cameras around there because he had cameras to help her because she had her 2-year-old son there. He was adopting her, trying to, have a place for him also in his life. So because of her having a C-section, he put cameras in the house so she could go up and down, wouldn't have to keep going up and down the stairs to, to see about him, and so he can come upstairs. He was 4 at the time. Well, he started seeing some unhappy things during the camera. He started seeing her hit the baby, then the baby fall off the bed. She fell off the bed 7 times. Then at 8 months old, she started crawling, and you know how babies are when they start crawling. You got to keep an eye on them. So she was falling off the bed while she was crawling. She was getting high on opium drugs because of her sickle cell. She was smoking weed. She was drinking. So she won't was passing out and won't really paying attention to the baby until she heard the baby scream when she fell. Then after that, she started hitting the baby. The baby would crawl over and touch something on the table. She would grab her hand and just started hitting her. Or she would throw her in the middle of the bed. Thank God he had a king size bed. So the baby didn't bounce off the bed, but she would throw her in the middle of the bed like, I told you not to touch S, and I told you not to touch shit, and I told you not to do this. So one day he kept confronting her about the videos. So one day, that what really made him had enough. He was at work and he happened to pull up the camera, and the baby had crawled to the edge of the bed. And she told her, "I don't give a fuck if you fall off the bed or not. Maybe once you fall off the bed, you'll learn your damn lesson about crawling to the edge of the bed." And my son lost it. And I had to calm him down because he was at work. He called his job, showed his boss the video. The boss said, "Go ahead, go home." Well, the baby did fall off the bed. So that was it. So when he got home, I live in DC, and at the time, thank God I had a car. So I drove up there to stop him from jumping on her. So I got there just before he did and kept them apart. And so we took the baby to the hospital to check on her, make sure she didn't have no physical damages. And thank God she didn't. So when we got back home, she destroyed the house, packed up her stuff, and left. So now he's in court right now. We did just finished court, so we're hoping that they'll go ahead and give him custody of this baby too. So this is a father that works every day, that he's scheduled to work. When he's not scheduled to work, he's taking time out with them, having fun with the baby, having her crawl, she's walking now, so he does activities to try to keep her interactive. And she also he deals with the 17-year-old. This and you know how 17-year-old girls are. They're smelling themselves and they're seeing little boys, so he's trying to deal with that also. So, but the one thing grant I support him that he's stepping up as a father and doing the thing. So there are still some great fathers out there, young and old, but it's just the point that nobody's recognizing them the way they should be recognized. That's why I go on the channels and say, "Hello, my kings, hello, my queens," because I want to let the men know that you are recognized, you are seen, you are known. And there are some great stepfathers out there too. My stepfather was in my life, and to the day I can tell you, he was a great man. Had closed many doors on me. I almost didn't have no boyfriends, but I still had a great dad. So there are some great dads out there, but also we have to remember there's some great stepfathers out there too. There are some that step up and take the plate and do what they need to do for the woman's children, and let her know that she not only is she they let her know that she's a package deal. And the thing is, with my relationship with my husband of 22 years, our kids still call each other sisters and brothers because I looked at him and I let them mothers know, you a package deal. Those y'all children. I'm not gonna step in between, but I'm gonna enforce what you want me to enforce and step back on it. And I expect you to do the same with mine. And that's how we got along. But that's the problem I have. A lot of women wants to use their children as weapons or pawns for the man that no longer want to be in their life for whatever reason. And you can't do that. The children lose out on that. And they want their fathers and kids need their fathers in their life. They need their fathers. I'm the woman I am because of my dad. I call him my dad. He's not my father, he's my dad. He's trained me how to look at a man, what to look for in a man, Why the man would say to me that would make me, and me and him was together for 22, my husband, we was together for 22 years, you know. And because of my father's teaching, I had a great man. And this is what I say to all these single men out here that are great fathers. Don't give up. Stepfathers too, don't give up. God is watching you, and he's giving you the heart that you have, and you keep doing what you're doing, because you're going to get the award in the end, because those children are going to remember you for the rest of their lives. Like that young lady came on and said her father was a great father. They're going to remember that moment. They're going to remember that day. They're going to remember certain things you done for them that you think that might not be significant to them, that's great for them. That's all I wanted to say.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for sharing. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
You
You're
are welcome.
welcome. You're welcome to come up here anytime. I'm. You're welcome. The panel's all yours whenever you come up. So thank you. I
You are
appreciate
so
you.
welcome. And to you queens, my love go out to you, and to the king on the other side, my love go out to you also. See y'all later. I must go back to the chat.
All righty.
Thank
Oh, thank you so much. Hey sis, what's up with you? What's up with you? The
Hey,
floor is now yours, sis.
oh, I don't need the floor. How y'all doing? Happy Father's Day.
Hey, E.
Hey, I said what I said. Hey, sis.
Hey, where you? You on the beach or?
Hey,
No,
I see that
I'm at
water
the.
back there.
No, that's the sky.
Oh, that's the sky. Oh,
Yeah.
I was talking about on the bottom. On the bottom, it looked like water.
I,
Maybe I need to put my glasses on.
Oh yeah, it does look like water.
Yeah,
The
it looks
color.
oh
like yeah.
no, I'm at the park. I went for my evening walk since it's
Oh,
nice
okay.
outside, and
Oh,
so they playing soccer. I don't know if y'all they playing soccer.
Oh, okay.
I'm watching the soccer game, reminiscing when I was a soccer mom.
When you were a soccer mom.
Yeah, when I was a soccer mom, and just enjoying, the outside just
Yeah,
for a little bit.
that Cali, that Cali weather just beaming and it's glowing on
Okay.
your skin and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
sun setting, and ours it is black where we are.
For real.
Yes.
All the skeeters are getting you down this
Skeeters are
deep.
out, yeah, and the squirrels.
Skeeters and
Okay.
squirrels.
Okay.
um, you got something you want to add on it, sis?
Uh, mm, I everything has been said. I listened here and there as I could, but I feel that a lot of what everyone was saying was very true with regards to the fathers and the lack thereof fathers, and some fathers are getting a bad rap. There are a lot of fathers that are getting a bad rap, and it it really needs to be rectified. Not all fathers are bad. I do think a lot of the fathers that have done the damage for the most part has been the fathers from the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. Really, those are the ones that were, they got caught up in some things that, for whatever reason, they decided not to be fathers to their children. Um, they decided to, do other things. And so, but I do feel that, the younger generation, the ones that are deciding to be fathers, are stepping up to the plate. I see a lot of fathers, and I don't know if anybody else has noticed this. Maybe it's just in my community, but I see a lot of fathers like walking their children, in the having either on the back or in the front of them or in the what do you call it? I haven't been a mom in so dang long. My kids is grown. The little baby carriage.
The baby carriage,
Yeah, they
the
walking them.
stroller.
Yeah, the stroller. They got him down, walking down the street with the dog. When I never seen that, in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Never
Mm-mm,
seen that. Was
mm-mm.
unheard of. So, I do think that the ones that are trying to be fathers, they are stepping up to the plate. There aren't a lot of people having children these days. They feel it's too expensive. I know my children, I have spoke about it. They're not really into having children. They feel it's, it's expensive, with everything that's going on in the world. They don't want to bring, someone into the world the way it is now, the way it currently is now. They've made some conscious decisions. So, and I have to respect it. But for the most part, you know, I feel you should give credit where credit is due. And when I see fathers like that are walking around with their children, I love to see it and I always acknowledge it. It's a good thing. And I feel a lot more people should acknowledge the dads who are stepping up and doing, what they're supposed to do. Now, do we go all overboard? I don't think so. I don't think you should go overboard for doing what you're supposed to do. Just like mothers, I don't feel mothers should be overly accoladed for doing what you're supposed to do. That's when you have a child, that's your responsibility, that's your job. But at least acknowledge it, because a lot of these young men need I recognize that they need to be seen, and so I do appreciate the ones that I do see and that do step up to the plate. So shout out to all the fathers that are out there that are doing what they're supposed to do. We appreciate you. I lost my dad, and me and my dad weren't as, I was a daddy's girl, but we were kind of, in and out. He did what he could with what he understood how to do. And so I had to respect that. I've grown to respect that at a younger age. I don't take that away from him, but it was what it was. So I wasn't, I would say I was a daddy's girl, but as I got older and understood some things, some realizations hit me. But at the end of the day, I love my dad. He did what he could. He gave me a lot of game, and I always talk on here about he was never the Cosby dad, never the Cosby dad, but he gave me what he could, and he gave me game. I can't change that. So, but I'm thankful for what he could give me. So,
I wanted to say, I know what you mean by, giving accolades for them doing what they're supposed to be doing, mothers or fathers. But I think because the fact that so many dads 30 years ago were not stepping up, and these generations were brought up having to break cycles now. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing cycles being broken, and in order to break the cycles, they need to be given those accolades, right? That way they know that, hey, you're doing a good job. No, you weren't raised that way, maybe. So many weren't, right? They didn't get that once upon a time, but they're trying to change it. And that's where I feel they should be given the accolades because they're trying to change it, even though they didn't have it. Like, you know, SBK brought up my son. He may not have had his dad that was always there, right? Or but he's trying to break those cycles. And that's what I tell him. Hey, we can learn from what they didn't do or what they did do and do better, So I think that's why we should give the accolades today, because then you have so much of this negativity, and that just piles on. So I just wanted to add that. But I love you, sis.
I love you too.
Okay, SBK, it's yours. Hey,
Hey,
DR, welcome back.
DR, you back? What you
Hey,
got on us,
sis.
sweetheart?
You know what? I'm trying to figure when I was talking about, my dad earlier and, like he was a holiday dad, again, back in the 70s. And, like you were saying, not really knowing what happened, where they was and different things like that. And then they come back later. Do they get a pass? You know? And I think that's my thing. Like I said, I felt like I should have received an apology or some type of, this is what was going on in my, because again, I also tell my kids, we don't know all the time if our parents grew up on survival mode, if they grew up on love, or what their upbringing was. And sometimes, that's where sometimes I do give them a little bit of a pass because, I don't know all in depths of, what their situation was like with their father or how their mothers were and things like that. But when you know better, you do better. And do they
Right.
deserve a pass? And should they apologize and give you an explanation so that you can probably be like, okay, I can understand where you coming from. Because like I said, my dad now, he be just all on me. And I be like, bruh,
Mm-hmm.
didn't I just talk to you yesterday? And he just, I just love you. I'm so proud of you. I said, so, and sometimes in my mind, I be thinking, how did you think I was going to turn out?
Right.
What,
Right.
what was your expectations? You
And
know what
did
I
you
Right.
mean?
even
So
care?
he's just
But
Right.
let me ask you
proud
this,
of you.
Dr. Let me ask you
I'm
this.
so
Let
Yep.
me.
this, and I'm so that, and I'm just be looking at him like, what you thought I was gonna?
I
What you
I
thought?
feel you. I
Well,
feel you on so many
You know what
levels.
I'm
right,
saying?
right. Because
So
I'm like
like,
that too, Dr. I
yeah,
got a question for you though.
yeah,
The reason why I don't really acknowledge my father or what have
mhm,
you. Now let me, I don't want you guys to feel like I'm just a bitch or anything because I'm not.
No.
we wouldn't feel
No.
I have my reasons
right.
why I do what I do,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yep.
I have helped him out a couple of times. But
Yeah,
instead of him helping me out, I've actually helped him out. Okay,
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
so let me ask you this, because this is my father. He
Mm-hmm.
was never around us.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot of kids,
Mm-hmm.
and I have seen him marry another woman and claim her kids as if they were his own,
Mm-hmm.
and stay there and help her raise her kids. And he never stayed with anybody for a long period of time. So don't, he definitely was a rolling stone.
Mm-hmm.
But just to watch him be married to somebody else and help this lady with her kids when you had this first set of kids that you really basically, like you said, you had a holiday father.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had one holiday father. My
Right.
father came pick me up one time. I didn't even know how he looked until I was 11. And
Mm-hmm.
he picked us up, took us to New Mexico. And, and that was it. That's the only time in my whole life that I can remember him being around me. And that's the only time that we actually got to spend with him was that 2 week period that you get out for school for Christmas. So, like, did your father like raise other kids also, or?
Well, yeah. I
Yep.
mean, I think is the exact same thing.
Yep.
So, my dad, because all I knew was church and being in church all day, Sunday school. And so when my dad came around, we would be going out and having fun. We would be going to families, we would be going to camping and different things like that. So that was kind of my experience with him. So I at that age, I'm just overlooking this cat was missing. But when he came in, I knew we was finna have a good time. I was finna have fun and different things like that. So at that age, I didn't know that. And so when those things started to dissipate, I was just like, and I got older. I'm like, this, this dude just, you know, he has stepchildren. He would take them to Sears and J.C. Penney's to get school clothes. Took me to the thrift shop. When I started to see and recognize those things, and just like you mentioned, I had to help him when he had got cancer and got sick. I had to leave my family and go stay with him, and he was afraid to go to sleep because he was on morphine and taking him to his doctor's appointments. I just stepped in and didn't even realize how I had stepped in like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
started taking care of him, becoming his power of attorney, all of these things. And in the midst of all of that, I felt like he felt I was obligated. And that's what kind of just kind of threw me a little bit, was like as if I was supposed to do it. I'm like, so where's them other children that you
Mm-hmm.
was loving on and taking care? Where they at? And
Right.
I'm his oldest child. I'm the firstborn. I'm the first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I said it was kind of like a transition, but I did it out of love and respect. And that's why I say, I, I be struggling a little bit sometimes
Wow.
dealing with him, because I feel like
Yeah.
not of bombing, but he just overly is wanting to be involved with me so much, and I'm not used to that. And
Yeah.
so I was just like, I don't want to get to a place if, something happens to him. And I'm like, dang, I could have, spent that little bit of extra time and just, let it is what it is. Like he was saying, it is what it is. Like my dad,
Hmm.
I learned a lot of different things from him just because of the era that he grew up in. So I was able, me personally, I'm able to look at other people's mistakes and not go through them. So I can look at stuff that you didn't been through and be like, that's not how I'm finna raise mine. That's not how I'm finna approach that situation. So I'm able to take gain from people from their life situations without me having to physically go through them. So I think for me, I'm learning how to allow him in my life and not be so guarded and just be
Hmm.
like, I just talked to you yesterday. What was you calling me back for today? Because he just be like, what you doing? And I miss you. I want to come. I'm like, and then he talking to children and got them all, you know what I'm saying? So
Well,
I don't be, I
what
don't
E
like,
said though.
uh,
Maybe it's like what E said, because as you grow and learn, um, maybe it took him all this time to know how to be a father.
but that's why I say, am I supposed to give him a pass because it took him that long? And
You don't
am I
have to.
supposed to be?
You supposed to do whatever you
You got to
feel
do
like
what
doing, because the
right.
Bible says you just supposed to honor your parents, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Right.
don't have to do
And
nothing
you
So
else you
I
don't
think
want to
I'm
do.
doing. I think I'm doing good. I love him. I love on him. I talk to him. I call him because he'll be like, "You ain't called me. Let me check my calendar. When the last time you called?" So I
Hmm.
started to do better, and I would call and check on him. He'd be so happy and excited. So I deal with him how I deal with him, and
mhm.
Hmm.
he it seems as he's appreciative because I always say, well, if something was to happen, I want to be able to look back and be like, I didn't miss certain moments. So I feel like everything is fine. I figured it out and just like I'm gonna allow him to love on me. Cause like you said, as he's getting older and what he went through with cancer and stuff, I think that was a turning point for him. Like, you know,
Hmm.
I could not be here and I could not enjoy my daughter or my grandchildren, So and he could just be one of them people that don't know how to apologize or just, point out the facts. This is what was going on in my life, so I wasn't able to be the best version or the best father that I can be. And sometimes for us as women and as girls, sometimes we need to hear that, but sometimes, just like I always say, you have to be able to go on without that apology. You have to
Yep.
be able to go on without someone giving you reconciliation on what they did or they didn't do. And you got to be all right
Hmm.
with your choices that you make. And so I think I'm at that place right now. So I'll be
Hmm.
just
You
letting
gotta
him,
you gotta
he
look
be
at
texting me, don't know how to text. I'd be like, man, what is this?
that is his apology. So he don't
Yeah,
know they
yeah,
don't know how to say sorry
right,
because they
right.
not from that era of saying
Hmm.
sorry.
Hmm.
So what they do is, they try to, be a little bit more in your life or in your children's
Show
life,
it.
They
Right.
showing
try to
up, try to
compensate it with the,
compensate. You
yeah.
know what
They
I'm
try to
saying? He said,
compensate.
is it anything you need? And I'm like, no,
Right.
I'm good. You know what I'm
Right.
Hmm.
saying?
I think that's what he,
So,
because I'm always like, no, I'm good. I don't need anything or whatever. And I think
right,
like struggling, like, you don't need nothing. I'm like, no, Dad, I'm good. I really don't need nothing. I'm like, what you need? What you need? I got you. Like
Hmm.
right,
I'm more like that towards him. So he's, trying to be in that place. So I just kind of defer him to the kids. I'm like, they probably need something. You want to talk to them?
I defer to the kids.
right, right,
Right.
right. And that's
Well,
what you got to do.
well,
Right.
That's what you got to do.
but my father though, he's such a trip. He really is. He likes to take credit for nothing that he's done, for everything. He has
What?
no bearing in our lives, but he loved to brag about his kids that he had
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do
Mm-hmm.
with.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how are you trying to take credit for nothing?
That's called
How you
being a
stealing my
manipulator.
pictures? How
They
you
like to
stealing my
Well,
manipulate.
to be
pictures?
honest,
You
he
you
he
ain't.
he he was a pimp. He was a pimp back in the day. I ain't gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
He was a real pimp.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
And so
So his
and you can
perspective of stuff
tell,
is all
yeah,
askew.
his whole thing is he doesn't care who you are, and you could just like you. I don't know if it was you or Dr. EE or Dr. But the manipulation is strong, and he
Mm-hmm.
tries to, and he's still to this day, he's like 80 something, 83 or something like that, or 82, and he still try to manipulate. He still
Mm-hmm.
try to run game on you, and
Yep.
he still
To the
have,
day they
you know,
die.
when he talk like, talk like this. He still got the pimp game as far as his conversation and stuff, and it's like, dog, are you gonna ever get, let that go? You're 80 something. You're not a pimp no more. I mean,
Right.
your game
Yeah.
is weak at this point, and so it's, and like Dr. said, he'll never apologize to you,
Mm-hmm.
and but it's like he got a sense of self entitlement. If he needs something, he wants you to do, just bend over backwards for him, and I'm like, you got the wrong kid for that, I'm not the one for that, I'm like,
That's why he
So,
had all them kids.
huh.
That's why he had all them kids.
Yeah,
That's why
well,
my
call some
daddy
of the
had all his
yeah,
kids.
yeah, call some of the mother children that you raised, baby, because I'm not the
Right.
one. I'm like Dr. I'm the oldest, and I've been knowing you the longest, and it is. I have accepted it.
Were
It
you the
is what it
firstborn too?
is. Yeah, I am,
I was the
and
firstborn as well.
at the end of the day, all little girls love their father
Yes, they do.
until they don't, until they
I was in.
figure
Exactly.
out who their father
Exactly.
is,
Till they figure it out.
until they figure it out. And once we figure it out, then we know who you are. We see you, and we take you for what you are. And that's
Yep.
where I'm at that with that.
Yep.
I want to chime in on the situation. My bad, y'all. Earlier I was on eating and stuff, so that's why I calmed off.
Oh, we know. We know you was eating ribs and things.
Yeah, eating this good old Father's Day dinner, man. Man, it was delicious. I ain't lying.
That's
Well,
good.
hold on, Urban. So, Dr. You may not get that closure because we didn't have closure Friday night from a certain person, and the show just ended.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think
Good Lord, boy, I tell y'all.
I think I'm past the closure part. I was just saying, you know, I'm not giving him no full pass. I ain't.
Mhm.
You, I respect you, and life happened and it is what it is, but you did what you did and you was
Yep.
grown, you was an adult, you know what I'm saying? So now I think as he's getting older, he's just trying to get his things in order as far as, the way he does it. And
Right.
the way he does it could be okay for someone else or one of my other brothers, my sisters, or something like that. But I'm a little bit. You gonna have to do a little bit more than
Correct.
that. So,
You gotta
we
be you gotta be okay with it, Dr. I had to learn to be okay with it because so many
yeah,
people will tell you how you should feel,
right,
how that's your parent, how you supposed to feel about the situation, how you supposed to feel because that's your parent. But you are
right,
allowed to feel what you feel and
exactly.
still
Let
love
him know
them, but you
too.
feel what you feel and you
Yeah,
know what you know.
yeah. And I told him that. You know what I'm saying? And as even I was older than my age at a young age anyway. So I grew up pretty quick and was up on stuff real early. And so I just started dealing with him more as transactional instead of, a loving, overly loving father daughter relationship. It was like, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Stuff like that. And I will be good with that. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't know how to receive that because his other kids that are mixed, and I'm not trying to be funny, but they black and Filipino,
Hmm.
and treated them a little bit different than me, and you know, I said I'm gonna be black all day, every day. So I didn't know what his expectations was or how I wasn't soft or very passive in certain
Right.
areas. Like,
Right.
in certain groups, they're a little bit like his wife was a little, she be at the window. I wonder what time is Bill come. I said, Bill is not coming tonight, Lena. I used to have to tell her the truth because she be acting, wait for him to come home and he over Laura house. And you know what I'm saying? I have to tell her the truth. But
Bill a Rolling Stone, baby.
yeah, he was. So, I had to tell her what was really going on. But, I'm not passive like that. I was just talk to my dad and be like, I just get at him how I get at him. And he was just like, oh, you just think you too grown. I said, no, I'm just keeping it real. I'm not finna, act like it's cool and it ain't. You know what I'm saying? So he learned me, so I'm learning him, and
Right.
I'm him to love on the kids, and they're enjoying it, and you know different things like that. But yeah, I'm just was like, I'm not giving no full pass on somebody who was an adult and they knew what they was doing, and you know, no, I ain't doing it.
Yep. Yeah. So let me go ahead and chime in on this. All right. So should you give him a pass? To be honest with you, that is totally up to you. Whether if you want to do that, whether if you want to give him a full pass, a semi pass, a season pass, wherever case may be, that's totally on you to do that. Now, me personally, I believe that you should give him a pass. Now, I want you to stay with me on this side because I'm not Charlie or nothing like that, but the reason why I believe that you should is because part of you giving him a pass is your process of closure. Because what you got to understand is that he don't owe you an explanation. He don't owe you an answer about the things that he did or the relationship that he had with you. He don't at all. The reason why I say that is because this man he made his choices and decisions, what I'm saying, throughout his whole entire life. And he's carrying his cross, even right now, he's carrying his cross, what I'm saying, and he's dealing with that every single day, you know what I mean? And so, even as
But
a man, it is,
I don't
even
care,
that,
Ross.
it,
It don't. I'm not trying to cut you off, but I don't. That's not my responsibility. I it
yeah,
when
correct. I agree with you. It's not.
yeah. So like I said, I when I was 18, I had forgiven my father at a very young age. I had forgived him, and I just said to myself, everybody's just not cut out to be a parent. Once I figured that part out, I didn't have any more resentment. I didn't have any hatred or anything towards him. I accepted him and understood who he was and how he moved. Hence,
Hmm.
moving and acting accordingly the way that I did. My thing is that you can't go through your whole life, and if you've mistreated your children or didn't do what you really should have, you cannot expect them or feel entitled that they supposed to bow down to you or be like, you know it is what it is. No, you take accountability for your actions and the things that you did, and our relationship is based on you and how you move. So that's why our relationship is the way that it is today. Like, I love him,
Yep.
deal with
Yep.
him, but I just don't be, sometimes I'm like, don't do too much, don't do too.
Right.
Yep, correct. I agree with you on that. I absolutely agree with you 100%. He had to take accountability on that, and the relationship is solely determined on what he's doing. By him burying his cross. Now his current actions, what he's doing now, that is his version of carry his cross. That's his version of trying to right the wrong in his life that he did. Now is he perfect with it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Is he have a sense of entitlement behind it? To be honest with you, the type of men, sorry, them the type of men, they think like that. Just like what I believe I said what I said was saying that. The type of men think like that. That since they did this, since they did the bare minimum or at least procreating you, that they're entitled to you. You know.
Right.
And
Mhm.
that it ain't nothing, bad on your part, on your end. This is thus his current mentality, period, as a man. But all I want you to understand is that he's carrying his cross, he's carrying his burden on that. And believe me, part of that, he had like certain type of resentment behind that. He have a certain type of resentment like, dang man, I should have had the DR better. I should have went on and instead of taking her to the thrift shop, I should have took her to Target or to the mall and get her some finer things in life. But I didn't. I chose not to for whatever reason, and he's
And
hurt
that's
carrying that burden,
But
on
Irving,
him.
you said he
but
don't
that's
owe. But hold on, Dr. You said he don't owe her an apology. You don't
Yeah,
feel
he
like You don't feel like that they
no
owe us an apology.
no. Parents do not owe their children no apology or explanation. Because the reason why I'm saying that is because they already taken accountability for the choices and decisions that they made. It's not the reflection on the child, it's solely on the reflection of the parent, period. You know what I'm saying? So
No,
that's why I'm saying that. Most of the time, when people are asking for apology, they're in reality they're really asking for closure. That's what it boils down to. And then let's say hypothetically speaking that they want a parent give you this apology. What's going to be next? How you going to feel
okay.
afterward? You know what I mean? You're
And
going to either choose to either accept the apology, or you're going to choose to stay in that resentment mentality.
I think what it was. No, remember when I said I accepted the closure or whatever when I was 18, understanding him.
Yeah, correct.
I think my problem is when he got sick. I was the one who came and took care of him. So even if he didn't want to apologize for being raggedy father while I was growing up, he could have just been like, I appreciate you for coming to look after me while I had cancer. Like that's just
Hmm.
normal human being reaction to anybody, regardless if I'm your child or not. So he didn't even, I don't feel I felt that part was entitlement just because I'm his child. I was supposed to do that. But the ones that you coveted, the other children, where they at?
Hmm.
You know what I'm
He,
saying?
he, he didn't tell you thank you, Dr.
No,
Because mine didn't either. I just went picked his ass up a couple years ago, about a year ago, and brought him down here
yeah,
to my house.
he didn't.
And
Hmm.
he had prostate surgery,
He didn't.
and I had to pick him up.
He would tell me don't fall asleep. He would tell me don't fall asleep. I need you to watch me while
Yeah.
I sleep, because he thought he was gonna die because he was on
Well,
morphine.
what
He
can
was
you
scared.
do about it?
He was scared
I,
to
I
die.
I
yeah.
mean,
Well, I.
I'm not
Hmm.
trying to be funny, but I'm just like,
Oh, you
if you
ain't a girl.
do,
Look,
what
look.
he
I was
expected you to
asleep.
do?
I don't know, but I was asleep. And I said, look, I see you in the morning,
Right.
because you had me up all night because your nerves is bad. You shouldn't have been doing what you was doing and clowning. Maybe you wouldn't be in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah, so once again, I agree with all that. The whole entitlement part and all the stuff. I agree with you. I agree that if that situation is unfair for you, it really is. You know what I'm saying? But once again, at the end of the day, people they tend to want to look for their apology because they're looking for some type of closure in that situation. Now, I'm not saying with you because I already know that you're already received your closure, but I'm talking about people in general typically be trying to look for a closure from their parents due to the trauma that they have put them through. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, it's not going to change the situation regardless if they apologize to you or not,
I get
because that's solely on you at the end of the day, based on your mental health and based on, your piece of what you're going to do with it.
I get it, but
Well, and
it's
that's fine,
her
but
to just say thank you anyway for just being there. I didn't have to. I could have talked bad about. I was like, you shrunk. You was like 3 inches shorter from last time I seen you. Say something. No, look. I was
That
trying
boy
real.
shrunk like Mario, huh?
Look, I was trying real hard not to offend this cat, but I did as I, you know what I mean, as I
as your heart
was
told you to
felt
do.
exactly as my heart led me to do, was to love on,
Yes.
help him through his situation, make sure he good, this, that, and the other, and all that good stuff. I felt good about it. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't, being resentful or, but I left my children for 3 days out the week and went to Sacramento and stayed with him and dealt with his crazy sisters, and they was stealing his medication, and I had to go off on them. So I was dealing with a whole lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, and he had what's that thing called? Is it scabies, or what is it when you get a rash around your back and it come to the front? I forgot what it's called. What it's
Oh, I
called?
don't know what
Uh,
that's called.
What you call hives?
no, no, it's something else, but it's contagious, I think. And I didn't find out about it till the second day. I said, wait a minute. I said, where you at? I said, you over here with contagious stuff and you ain't told nobody or nothing. I'm over here dealing with you and you look, keep it up.
Right.
So
Oh yeah,
I
shingles.
like
Oh, shingles.
Foxy say shingles. Is this
shingles. That's
shingles?
right. It was
Yeah.
shingles. That's like herpes, ain't it?
No,
No,
it's
No, no.
chicken
no.
pox.
It's like
Yeah.
It's
chickenpox. But you
I
you
ain't gonna be
can't.
dealing with all
I
that.
don't think you can
Look,
spread the shingles though, can you?
you can. I said,
You can.
what?
You
I
can.
said, what is that?
Yeah.
on your back? He told me, I don't know. I said, you gonna have to go find out, because I'm not gonna be. You ain't gonna be. I can't be going home with that to my kids, So it was an experience. You know what I'm saying? We got to spend some time. It was just in his time of need. And that's what I always said. When you on your deathbed, you gonna call on me, your oldest child, the one who's always come to your aid, but you mistreat the most. So I think that, I would tell him those things. Like I said, I wasn't shy. I didn't hold back or how I felt or anything, which I think was beneficial to him, because I think most of his relationships with his wives and his children, they wouldn't say what they felt. They would just kind of, and I would. And so I think at the end of the day, he respected that and was just like, wow, you're really, I guess not what I thought you were going to be, or act the way you were going to act or whatever. So, you know,
They get shocked when they don't, when you weren't in their lives and you
right.
turned out cool. My
Exactly.
dad did the same thing. He was like, "Oh, you was the one all along,"
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's,
and I
listen.
was like,
Well, mine's trying to move in with me, and I was like,
Mm,
I've already, I've done I've done all I can take. I've
I
done
went
all I can do,
far. He had,
and I can't let you just, you know. Right now, he need a place to stay or whatever, but he can't come to my house. I'm sorry, and that may be hateful, mean, or whatever,
"No,
but
that's not hateful or mean. That's
I'm
not
just
hateful
like,
or mean.
you gotta
You
have
are
balance.
protecting. You're protecting your peace and you keeping your boundaries."
right, because like I said, I went and picked him up a couple hours away to have a surgery. Not one time did he offer 1 quarter. Stayed at my house a whole week and took care of him after the surgery. Got ready
Mm-hmm.
to take him home, and he
Mm-hmm.
still didn't want to put any, help me, put gas in my truck. And I had to make him put gas in my truck to take him back down the highway. So it's like you're entitled, you selfish, and you're ungrateful. You still the same person. You 80 something. You got more time behind you than you do in front of you, and
Mm-hmm.
you still acting like this. So no, you can't come to my house. I'm sorry. I'm just not gonna put up with him like that.
Well, I appreciate y'all sister for taking the time out and helping my fellow brothers with their mental health. Even though they made the choices and decisions that they made throughout their life, y'all made the decision that y'all wanted to not only do better but be the better example for them. So I appreciate that. Because this past couple of weeks of stuff, man, y'all had me the second guessing all y'all with our mental health. Shoot, I ain't lying.
So now so now you understand.
No, I'm just saying that I appreciate y'all this particular moment for acknowledging our mental health and things that we go through as men, and also y'all doing your pause as being daughters and helpmeets and all the good old stuff to help us out. Appreciate
Well,
that.
I
Appreciate
want to
that a
ask
We
whole lot.
Dr. a
appreciate that.
question. I want to ask Dr. a question. So, Dr., since you helped him out, do you feel better about the situation, and are you glad that you, even though you're not getting what you deserve, but do you still feel better for helping him out?
No, and that's my thing. I don't feel nothing. I just feel like, um, I don't feel no, like, I don't feel like I'm a better person, or because this has always been me. I help
Yeah.
people. I do for my family when nobody has done nothing for me. I'm always the one that they call. You know what I'm saying? So that's
I know exactly what you're saying,
my
sweetie. I
character.
know exactly.
So I don't feel, I don't feel anything. I just feel, I was the one who stepped in when he needed it, and I did what I did, and I that was it. But I don't feel like, I feel better, or I feel like a better person, or anything like that. I think if it was anybody else in my family, and I would probably do it, or feel I'll just do it, because that's just how I am. When there's things that go wrong, or there's issues, or somebody needs something, they call me, and so I, that's just how I've been. So I don't feel nothing, child.
Oh, I'm so glad we had this conversation because
It need therapy. Okay.
Yeah, I'm so
Your
glad we
mother.
having this conversation tonight because I thought it was just me. Okay.
Mm-mm.
I feel
No,
like this is.
it's not.
I feel like this is like
It's a therapy
a,
session.
it's a therapy session. You know what I'm saying?
For
Um,
different versions. Like that's what I was saying to Two Cent. It's different versions of fathers, and we're just,
Right.
going through everybody's different version of their
It's
right.
just
experience.
sometimes, but a lot of times it's hard for people like us to speak up that had different types of fathers that wasn't in our lives, but tried to take credit for certain things. And then,
Right.
we have these adverse relationships. It's hard to talk about it because, like mothers, if you had a mother
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't always there, but everybody, oh, my mama is my best friend. Oh,
I
this, and
understand
that.
that.
You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Or,
exactly.
if you talk about your dad, like T Cat got a totally different relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Joe has a totally different relationship. And so when
Exactly.
you hear people like that, you don't want to step up and say your story or your truth
No.
because people be like, oh, well,
Well, because they start
damn.
She's
they
bitter.
Yeah, she's bitter. Well,
you
damn.
got
You
trauma.
can't, that's your
Right.
daddy, that's your parent.
So
He the
That's
reason
your
why you
experience.
here. And it's like,
Right.
okay. But it still don't change
Right.
the fact of how he lived his life, how we had our experiences in our relationship.
mm-hmm.
I can forgive, but I
Hmm.
still have that experience. And
Right.
Right.
sometimes it's
Right.
hard to tell your experience because so many people out here judging you because you ain't the status quo. You ain't bigging up your parents like everybody's
Mm-hmm.
expected to do.
I can
And it doesn't
forgive, but I'm
mean that
not gonna
you're
forget.
right, but it doesn't even mean that you are dogging your parents. Yes, big ups to the shout out to the good fathers. I get that, 2 cent, but everybody should, just like for mental health, like Urban was talking about for this month. Just like men and women or anybody with an experience should be able to speak on their experience and get it
Correct.
out.
Correct.
Regardless if it was a good or bad experience, we're not trying to dog, we're just trying to get it out.
Right.
That's
That's
all.
all. But all you can do is the
And it's
best you can
great to
do.
know you're not by yourself.
It is. It is. And like I always say, I was saying, you got to be the change. I try to be the change. I didn't have a good dad. I had a
Right.
dad that cheated. I got oodles of step brothers and step sisters. You know what I'm saying? Bonus brothers, bonus sisters. I don't say step. But
Right.
I have all of that. And for all intents and purposes, I shouldn't even be married. I shouldn't even trust men. I
Right.
see my dad used to take me with him when he cheated on
Yeah.
his wife.
Mine did too,
Okay?
and I told it on him.
My
You
dad, I used to be
know.
with him with his different women. He would have me
Mm-hmm.
toddling along with him. So, at
Yep.
all intents and purposes, I shouldn't even trust men, believe men, nothing. But I still tried to be
Mm-hmm.
the change that I wanted to see. I wanted to be married. I wanted to have a husband. I wanted to
Exactly.
have children. I wanted to
But
have a
you
family.
probably did like DR and I did. At a certain age, we just, forgot about it.
Oh, I didn't forget
Forget
about it.
not
I'm
forget
just
about
gonna
it,
be
but
different.
I'm just saying
Right.
you probably just forgave him and just went on with your life and just
I went
said
on with
it
my life.
is what it is, because that's exactly what I did. I'm like, it is what it is. I wished he could have been in my life. I wish he was a better parent, but hey, it's not. So I'm just gonna make sure I make that change with my children. I'm gonna make
Mm.
sure my children have their fathers in their lives, and not just be, having kids by any and everybody. I just made some changes in my life so that so that I wouldn't, keep up the same
Hey,
cycle, to break the
hey, hey,
cycle.
hey, ladies. Based on this, how long y'all been talking about this? Almost like 45 minutes now. So,
Longer.
based
It's longer.
based on this conversation that y'all been having with each other, right? Do this not solidify what I say, what SBK say, what Simone Gorilla say, what Lionel say about how women be focusing more on the bad aspects of these
Oh,
bad fathers
yeah.
versus honoring the actual fathers who really doing the work
Mm-mm,
out
because
there.
I salute the
Because we
fathers that does the work.
I'm gonna get.
I take my hat off to them. I said that before we even had this conversation. I was telling everybody how I was so proud of my nephews and my son and the men in my family, because none of us had a father, and all of them are being fathers. So
yeah,
no,
we
not
I'm gonna
really.
give
are
Urban that. I'm gonna
that.
give Urban that, and I'm gonna apologize for hijacking the conversation. So I'm gonna give Urban
Yeah.
that. You feel me? And it's probably because it's so close to me because my dad just died and I just buried my dad Friday.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm gonna
it's
give you that. I'm gonna give you that.
hey, you're fine, you're fine. Now, hey, ladies, don't get me wrong. The conversation you was having is very valid. That's why I didn't disagree with nothing y'all was saying at all. Period. I didn't debate y'all or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm just saying this is the things that we as men deal with all the time, where it be this 5% of men who be doing these things to y'all, right? And it be the main focus on them versus on the actual men out here who really doing the work, where we don't get a lot of focus, we don't get a lot of recognition. And that's why I even mentioned about the time as well too, where it's been almost an hour and y'all was talking about this, all the bad aspects, right? But however, it was only a short period of time where y'all was talking about the good things about us. How long we spent SBK? Like about 30, 45 minutes talking about the good stuff, but spend almost 2 hours talking about the bad stuff.
Oh, okay.
Now
On that note, then,
now
yeah,
y'all
you are right.
understand where we coming from, right? When we
And
Yeah,
like
say
I
stuff
said,
like this,
I
I
right?
understand
agreed
now.
and
I
I stepped up
understand.
and said, I feel you. I
I
feel
feel
you.
you on that
I
part
take
of it.
that.
Yeah, but
I take that.
I'm not gonna apologize because I feel better
Thank you.
from
And
having
I'm
the
glad.
conversation with
Yeah,
you
yeah,
and PR.
absolutely.
So
Yeah, that's yeah. What I say that's what I'm saying. I'm not taking that away from y'all because I know that this conversation was well needed for real because people needed to hear this. You know what I'm saying? That's why I didn't even troll y'all on this or nothing because
What
I know it's very important.
just like
You're
East
trolling now.
times.
I ain't
I know
trolling now.
Lionel
Who said
trolling.
that?
I
Who
know
said that?
Lionel trolling. Somebody put up Lionel. I know he trolling. Where
oh,
Like
he at?
he's
East
in the chat
said,
trolling. Yeah, he's in the chat
we
and
don't
he's
half
been
the time.
trolling all night.
Okay. I expected as much.
Half the time we don't even speak on it. We carry that. What our fathers may have done or didn't do, we carry that on in our chest. So we don't really speak about it. So what we do speak about are those good fathers that are out there that are showing up, being present because we didn't really have that experience. So we love and enjoy it. Well, us at least love to talk about those men who do show up and show out and is present and is leading and providing and being those role models and those examples for their children and their wives and things like that. So like I said, a lot of times we're not speaking about it because that's just something we went through in our growing up and the things that we've been through, and we just deal with it, and we just we've made a decision early on what we're not going to do or what we want to experience something different. So when we start talking about it, it's just the reality of it. And we're one of many of women who have been through things like this, and we try to strive for something better, especially when it comes to our children. So most of the times we're not talking about that.
Yeah, because we could have been very bitter, not get married, not have no children, and if we did have children, we could have just turned our children totally against their fathers, and we
Right.
did none of that.
Hmm.
Gotcha.
Well, let me take this time since you want me to. I'm gonna speak on my husband. Exceptional father, phenomenal husband, great provider, excellent lover, always there by my side, never leaves me, prays for me, gives me encouragement. I am the luckiest woman in the world to have the man that I have in my life for almost 22 years. And I will never take back anything, any experience, good, bad, or indifferent. He is the love of my life. He is the father of my kid, our bonus children, and he is just I would never change anything, nothing about our relationship.
We're gonna do a wellness check on E husband too. We gotta make sure he doing great.
I
He's
I
doing
I,
great.
I for sure I for
We worked
sure
out this morning. We went to dinner. We went to go do axes. Anything he wanted to do, it was about him today.
I
And
just let him know when you get home. I'm checking on his mental health since he's checking on mine.
okay, he was like, "You good?"
And see, we as women, from the ladies we've known on the panel and things like that, we go above and beyond. You know what I'm saying? We're doing all of the extra, for those women who love on their men and really want them to know how much we appreciate them, the lengths that we'll go to. You know what I'm saying? We'll go to war. I know I will. So there's that one side of, where you probably didn't really have your father, in your life, but then I'm finna show my husband or the man that I'm with, you know, um, I'm not a product of that environment. I've risen above that. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where maturity comes in. That's where, life experiences come in. So all these things do need to be talked about, in the grand scheme of things, because then it shows, you know, just because I went through that doesn't mean I'm acting this certain kind of way, or I'm being bitter, or I'm not showing love, or I'm not, praising the man that I'm with. You know what I'm saying? So when you find, people that are like that, you hold on to them, because it is far and few in between. You just, once you understand people's story and where they come from and why they are a certain kind of way that they are, it's not just by accident. So you can come across somebody who do have had a wonderful experience with their father or different things like that, and then they have other different other situations that may be going on. So it just depends on the person individually, and getting to know them and understanding them, then you can understand why they may go a little bit harder, or why they may be warriors, or why they may be a little bit more stern about certain things, or ain't finna take certain things, and not finna just let stuff be just, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I'm gonna say this what the fellas are thinking right now. How in the world in this moment y'all made a show about y'all, but it's about us
We ain't
Father's Day?
talking about
Because the host didn't say anything, he just let us talk, and we just don't want our past to define our future, and we didn't let our past define
Wait,
our
wait,
Mm,
wait,
future.
wait, 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 wait,
So
mm.
wait, wait.
the host is just sitting back and chilling and eating barbecue or whatever, and drinking his wine and what have you. And so he ain't saying nothing. So hey, we got to make the show out of something. You're the only other dude up here, so we already talked
Man,
about you having a great. We
his
already hold on. We already talked
hey,
about
his
you
whole
having a
back
great Father's Day.
his whole background say Father's Day live. It didn't say Father Day and other.
he is
It
talking
said
about
Father
father.
Day like it ain't nothing.
Well, we already talked about y'all Father's Day. Y'all said y'all had a great day.
And then, hey, SBK, that's all we get, gentlemen. That's all we get, man.
That's all we get, man.
That's
That's
all
all
we
we
get.
get. That's, that's all we get. That's all we get. Okay, okay. Okay, look here. I'm gonna give a couple commercials. I'm gonna say shout out to the great T Cat that was up here, and then I'm gonna give y'all get y'all's final thoughts. I'm gonna thank every one of you guys coming out. Um, Let me give a couple commercials. I want
Hey,
to say shout out. What's we gonna say? Urban, what's up? What's up?
no, I said I figure go ready to step down. But I
Okay, bro.
appreciate it, man.
Okay,
Appreciate
bro.
y'all.
Okay,
Hey, y'all
Thanks,
have a
Urban.
great
Enjoy your
phenomenal
night.
night, ladies.
Thanks, Urban. Enjoy your night.
okay.
Thank you.
We get a couple commercials, and we're gonna get y'all's final thoughts, and we're gonna end this thing. All right, all right. All righty, it's just ETV. It's just TV. Um, we know you out and about. What you got on it before we what's your final thoughts before we end this thing?
Like I said, y'all, did not mean to change the conversation the way it went. So I will take responsibility for that. Again, I apologize. But happy Father's Day to all the fathers. Happy Father's Day to anyone who wants to be a dad. It's a truly wonderful thing. If you take part in your children's lives, you're helping to mold them. It's not a bad thing. So, um, appreciate you for having me up. Appreciate you for being the dad that you are. And I'll see y'all in the next one.
All right, sis. We love you. Thank you for coming up.
Take
Be
care,
safe.
E.
Yes, ma'am.
What you got? What you got, JoJo?
Okay. So, first and foremost, I want to thank everyone for supporting my bestie. I thank everyone for coming up. I really do. He works really, really hard putting stuff together uh, and putting on shows. And when he gets something in his heart that he wants to do, he just makes sure he gets it done. So I want to thank you all because a lot goes on behind the scenes that people really don't see, but he really does work hard. Also, I want to say Happy Father's Day. Everything that we worked on, your daughter did today. This is to you, bestie. Everything. It was really, really heartfelt, and I hope you know how much it really meant to me to be able to be there and, you know, help her do that for you today. And I hope you know how much you're appreciated. Okay. To every man out there who's ever shown up like a father, I want to thank you. I want to thank whether you're blood or you're a father by choice or you just had your presence in those kids' lives. We see you, we honor you, and we really do appreciate you. And I want to say Happy Father's Day to you all. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for everything. Um, all right, DR, the Bay Area, baby. What you got? What you got on it? What's your final thoughts?
Um, first I want to give a shout out to SBK for just being authentic and just being who you are. Um, I think here on YouTube and off YouTube, you're phenomenal. You're a great dad, and we appreciate you. Um, Shout out to just men in general, the ones who do show up and show out for their family and their children and always being there. I know you guys carry a lot of weight on your shoulders, but you still push through, and that is really phenomenal. And I appreciate you guys for letting me up. I do. So keep doing what you're doing.
Always, always. Thank you, thank you. All right, Queen. What you got on it? What's your final thoughts?
Well, I just want to say once again, Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers, whether it's your real kids or your stepchildren, or if you're an uncle and you've been a parent. I mean, you've been like a father figure. If you're a cousin, whatever your role is in whatever child's life, Happy Father's Day, because I want to shout all the men out for taking a role up for the fathers that's not a father. And SBK, I really think, like Dr. said, you're very authentic. I really feel like you're a great father to your daughter, and I just appreciate you just being honest on your channel, for always respecting your guests, always respecting women and anybody else that come up on your platform. And thank you for allowing me to come up on your platform and chop it up with you, because sometimes I'm gonna mess with you and sometimes I'm gonna be serious. but you know how to take all of it. So I appreciate that. I appreciate your sense of humor. I appreciate you just sharing your platform with everybody and making everybody feel comfortable. And I'm not gonna apologize how the conversation went because it enlightened my soul. And yes, we did talk about the fathers. And I know 2 Cents say we only gave you 5 minutes, but we gave you guys longer than 5 minutes. Okay. And but it was a great conversation for me. It was enlightening for me. And it's not about me, but I still got something out of the conversation. So I appreciate you allowing us to get something else, out of the conversation. And so I just I'm not gonna even look at the chat. I'm gonna finish it, trying to tell you. I'm gonna try to finish up my speech. But shout out to you, SBK, and I hope you had a great Father's Day. I hope your daughter was able to, help celebrate you, because you are a great father, and we can just tell that, and we can tell it's not fake or fluff. You seem to be the same person every time you're on YouTube. So I just, I want to just take my hat off to you, and I want to make sure that you get your roses and your king crown and all of that, because I don't never want to just salute you again, because I never want to make that mistake again. So you get all the roses, you get the crown, you get the hearts, and all of that good stuff for Father's Day. But I really do. I hope you had a great time. I really do.
Thank
And
you.
that's all.
I
Oh.
appreciate all of y'all.
Hmm.
The big sis, it's just ETV. It's always an honor to have her up here. My bestie, you know what time it is. The Bay Area, baby. I said what I said. Um, Miss Foxy, Urban. Am I missing somebody? Am I missing somebody? I think that's everybody was
Row,
up.
row.
Oh, Ro, yes, yes. How can I forget Ro? Um, thank you all. Thanks for all of the kind words. But um, all the ladies that are in the chat on the panel, you know what I mean? Y'all make the chat flow, bro. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna even lie. Y'all make the chat flow. Shout out to you, sweet Rita, Sour Patch in the chat. Y'all make the without you ladies pushing us, and we wouldn't be where we are today. And I got just about every lady on the panel uh, sent me a message. I said what I said. Joe EDR sent me a message. Thank you, everybody that sent Happy Father's Day regards. Thank you, I appreciate it. Um, and thanks to everybody that came up and showed out, like we always do on the SBK channel. So I appreciate y'all, man. Thanks for all the super chats. Thanks to all my mods. Thanks for everybody that's a member. Thanks for all the subscribers. Thank you all. I mean, whenever I say I mean that from the bottom of my heart, I really do. You know what I'm saying? I love doing this. I love spending time with y'all. It's like therapy. Ladies, do not apologize for telling your story, because one thing about it is that uh, it's something about the daughter and father dynamic. You know what I'm saying? It's something about that. All ladies, well, all children need their father, but just as I love my mother. I love my mother, and she's not no longer here, but I love my mother to death. But it's something about the father and the daughter dynamic as well. All fathers need to be there for their daughters, because you're going to be setting the standard for how um, a young lady chooses a man. You know what I'm saying? So it's up to us men to be that example. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. So, man, great show, great panel. We're going to do it again. But with that being said, man, I love y'all. One love to everyone. Your boy, SBK, is gone.